Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Curiosity Cove. My name's Veda.
And I'm your trusty captain. Today we'll be talking about
League
League
of
of
Legends.
Legends.
Lore.
The lore, to be precise.
And later we will be having a special guest, ChoccyMilkDrink, joining us to wrap up with a few regions. But yeah, we're going to talk about the regions today. We're going to go a little in depth, pull up a map, the whole shebang.
We have a whole presentation for you guys.
We do, yeah. There's a whole there's visuals to this. First, though, I want to give an overall reference to the timeline. The timeline is actually a lot longer than I thought. It spans back about 10,000 years. Yeah. So Runeterra spawned at an undescribed time, ND, if you will, and and then 9,000 years pre-Noxus and during is the first land's history, Ionia, which we'll get into, followed by 1,000 years later the War of the Three Sisters in the Freljord, which is an awesome story that I cannot wait to share.
Are the Three Sisters like the champs or no?
Yeah, well, it's Lysandra, Avarosa, and I'm a butt because I don't remember the last one.
Yeah, because Lysandra's old as hell. That's true.
Yeah. Lysandra's like ancient. Yeah. And then so 6,000. I'm gonna say NE because the 0 point is Noxus endures. So 6,000 NE is the westward migration. Then 5,000 NE is Rise of the God Warriors. These would be the aspects. 2,500 NE is Icathia rebels against Shurima. 2,000 NE is Azir's failed ascension. 550 NE is the Great Darkened War. 400 is Reign of the Iron Revenant. That's Mord. 25 NE is the Ruination. 13 NE is the Rune Wars. 0 is Noxus Endures. 292 is the Demacian Crown. 349 is Noxus becoming an Imperial power. 772 is the Tragedy on River Pilt. 787 is the start of Bilgewater. 984 is the invasion of Ionia. And 989, which is the most recent before present day events, is Swain seizing Noxus. So that is
the full rundown.
That's your summary of where all of these lore bits you're gonna get today fit into. Starting with Bilgewater. Cap?
Wait, I was noticing that there was a huge jump in the timeline. Like, it normally goes like every 1,000 or so, but there was a huge jump from the God Warriors section, which is 5,000 before Noxus, and then jumps to 2,500.
Like, what happened?
There's another huge jump from 2,000 failed ascension of Azir to 550 of the Great Darkened War.
Which, isn't that interesting? Because, like, does that mean between the rise of the God Warriors and the rebels against Shurima, like, everything was just peachy?
I think so.
Do you think it was just peaceful times? Because even between, like, the first lands of Ionia and the war in the Freljord, like...
That's 1,000 years.
And I'm pretty sure it was just, like, peaceful years. Like, of natives on Ionia chilling, you know?
Yeah. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I'll jump right into it. I love covering Bilgewater, because, you know, a pirate do what a pirate gotta do.
Let me, I'll get this map up.
Oh yeah, we got visuals. I forgot. Hey, I'm new to this.
Look at this. We have a whole map.
All right. Well, just to give a quick little intro while Veda does the whole visuals for you guys, Bilgewater is an archipelago. It's specifically known as a port city in the Blue Flame Isles. It can be a place of new beginnings, but it's also a place full of serpent hunters, dock gangs, and smugglers. Because before it even became like a really big place that everyone would just like go travel to, sell stuff, bring merchants, smuggle things, steal stuff, fight stuff, all that jazz. There was how would you say it? A bunch of people who were there before them. I forget what.
Natives?
natives. Think indigenous people. There we go. That's
Indigenous
what I was going
people.
for.
There you go.
I'm gonna butcher so many words, guys, so please don't judge. But it's spelled Buhru. So I was gonna say the indigenous people called Barus. Um, and basically it was a bunch of indigenous people called Barus that were living in the Blue Flame Isles before all these people started coming and traveling here, because it was originally like, obviously, like, they had land there, they grew stuff, they had their own little culture and stuff. But when all the, like, I would just say air quotes on pirates came on over, it just became this well-connected place within Runeterra. Like, everyone would go there. There's not really any regulations to anything, and there's not really a form of government. But basically, it's like one big old dockyard. Like, you can pull up a bunch of ships. You can, like, I'm pretty sure there's a section of airships, but it was mostly for, like, water transportation, because there was a lot of riverways. It was built more vertically so that they could keep all the channels, like, connecting the whole island and everything. But it was super interesting, that it was once, like, inhabited by these Bahus people. But even though, like, all these new people are coming here and, like, being stationed and, like, the pirates taking over and whatnot, they still have their ancient culture there. It's just a little bit, like, tucked away. Like, they have
That's
certain
where
areas.
Alawi comes from, right? Is she Baru?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just like that's who they like to worship, just because they called it sorry for butchering, but they had a culture that was called the Naga Kaburos. And if you know what a Naga is, it's like a serpent person type thing.
Oh, they had a
And
picture of it.
oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
neat.
I promise they had. Oh, here's pictures of Bilgewater though. Okay, so a serpent.
Yeah, so if you know what a Naga is in, like, mythical talk and whatnot, it's like a serpent person. So I would just say, like, if it's talking about Naga Kaburos, that it's like their people's culture of the Naga, which translates to being the god of life, growth, and perpetual motion. More commonly known as the mother serpent or great kraken, or they commonly referred it to as the bearded lady. Um, and it's normally depicted as a woman with enormous monstrous head with many spiraling tentacles, thus where Alawi comes from, and that's who they, like, really look up to. That's like their goddess in a way. So it was just super interesting that they had, like, that overarching, like, culture and, like, religious aspect that I didn't know Alawi came from. So that was really interesting. Um and let's see. It looks like they also, instead of, like, just, like, having all of these like, trading and stuff from outside the Blue Flame Isles, they also had a lot of internal stuff going on as well. They had traditional medicine that they were practicing. I don't know very much as, like, time progressed that people still do it nowadays. I feel like a lot of it was more ancient Bahuas people that were doing it, but they also were really good at monster hunting, because the Blue Flame Isles had a bunch of monsters lurking around in, like, the different cave systems and the canals and stuff, which was super interesting. They didn't say any of the monsters they hunted though. It was just, like, monster hunting.
Yeah, they have so the monster hunting that they have over here, it shows, like, serpent collars for the shoreline. So these, like, little fish statues that, and they look big because there's staircases around, like, the rocks.
Oh, wow.
But then they have, like this harpoon mistress, and she looks very badass and cool. I'm assuming not this one. That's just a rat. But maybe
the, like, big sea creatures,
here's your Nagakaburos thing, and then here's, like, the monster that they have, like, this huge freaking. It's very scary looking, honestly. It's like a
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful, honestly.
Oh my god!
But this is
they must be, like, fighting like, large sea monsters and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is heavily pirate inspired, so you're probably looking at, like, megalodons and krakens and stuff like
that. Yeah, that's fair.
From stuff like that.
But to give you some champs from this section, we've got Fizz, we've got Gangplank, who's, like, the leader of it all. We've got Graves, Alawi, Misfortune, Nautilus, Pike, Tom Kench, and Twisted Fate. That is a big cast for the Bilgewater crew, and I
Yeah.
love every single one of them.
I love Misfortune.
Oh,
That's one of my
Misfortune could
mains,
get it.
bro. The only 2 pentakills in my career were both on MF.
No way, really?
Yeah, both of my
Oh my god, that's
pentakills.
so
I
hype.
have the title because of Misfortune, so she's got a special place in my heart.
Yes. I just love her because I have Captain Misfortune skin.
Yeah,
You know,
it is such a
respect
pretty
the
skin.
Captain.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Of course, of course.
I think I'm up next with Demacia. So Demacia is in like relevance to the timeline, it is actually kind of like, I guess, a newer place. Um Basically, the old history of Demacia is that around 1,000 years ago, when the Rune Wars were in like full swing, right? The the Rune Wars started because Runeterra was created using world runes, but they were scattered across the world, and eventually on like a separate side of the world, Mord was trying to take over everything. Uh, and so it
As
caused,
he does, as he
yes,
does.
yes, of course. So he caused the Rune Wars in that sense. And so refugees from the war were trying to essentially like seek Solemn in a place that had no magic. And they stumbled across Demacia, and as you can see, it's like kind of surrounded by mountains. So like
Yeah.
it's kind of in this little valley, and like there's 2 really clear ways in, which is by sea because it's got its little bay, and by like a couple of openings on the opposite side in the mountains. So when refugees came through, they found themselves in this forest that actually dampened magic. The trees, the
Oh.
bark that was on the trees, were eventually formed into a material called petricite, which could essentially be used as the foundation of the city. So they built the city on petricite to essentially dampen any magic within the city as well. So, one notable like character of Demacia is the white from the petricite, and some of you may be able to connect dots here, but Galio is actually a champion. He's made of full petricite. He's like, he was crafted, and there was like, I think it was Hex
Is
Tech.
he like a golem?
Kind of, yeah. I think he's a combination of petricite and Hex Tech. I believe that's what it is. Which is so funny because like Hex Tech is basically like science magic.
It is,
So like
science magic.
it's funny because like he was built to fight magic, but he himself is kind of magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially they formed him using like some sort of energy source, which I think was Hectech, and petricite. And he was essentially supposed to be used to ward off mages. But people were flocking here during the Rune Wars, and one of like the notable people that came through was Killam of Mount Targon, because he had his twin daughters, Kale and Morgana, and he brought them in after Mahira, their mother, was given the aspect of justice, because he kind of feared like what she was becoming. And so he fell into this like rabbit hole, this hype train of like no magic ever, and he fled with them to Demacia. So
is there a reason why Demacia just didn't like magic?
the
Was it
Rune
just
Wars,
like their way
they were
of...
just afraid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's actually the reason why Fiddlesticks operates around the outskirts of Demacia, because people are so afraid of magic that he can easily prey upon their fear.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, and also like him being stationed in like the woodsy areas. Every single time we mention lore, I always think back to like the cinematics and also Arcane if you haven't seen it. But I feel like they do really good about portraying the champs and like the backstories behind them.
Yeah. I love League lore. Like this is probably the most exciting thing to me, is to like be able to like finally delve into it, because I've been wanting to like get the League lore into my brain for forever.
Yeah.
And I know bits and pieces, but I don't know too much. starting with the regions was like the best idea we could have had, though, because this has been so fun to look into.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and most of Demasia's lore like spans around Kale and Morgana, like their old lore. And those are two champs that I absolutely love. So like starting with Demacia, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so hype. But yes, so Kale and Morgana, like I said, they are like the big piece of Demasia's lore. Like Demacia essentially being a place where people were fleeing to, they were looking for something to kind of believe in, right? And so with these twins growing up, they actually started to become well renowned, because when Mihira sent the blade down from up above, it split into two, and it made them twin aspects of justice. People started calling them the winged protectors. So and these were like godlike powers, so they didn't fear them like they feared magic. So they were actually really loved. But while Morgana was trying to understand the sinners and try to like, you know, kind of get them to change their ways, Kale was very much like justice itself, right? Like, no, these are sinners, they need to be punished. And so people who followed Kale's ideology kind of started to hate Morgana, to the point where Kale's I don't know what you actually call it, Padawan, what is it actually called, a protege, right?
A protege, like someone below her?
Yes, yeah. So her,
like there's her student.
Yeah, her like protege, or her student, named Ronus, actually tried to imprison Morgana, which ultimately, in something I'm sure we'll cover later when we talk about Kale and Morgana on another episode, it led to Ronus's death, and it led to Kale inevitably going crazy. So
because that would really turn anyone to go crazy, to be honest.
Yep. And so the fight between the two not only started because of Ronus's death, but it actually caused their own father's death. And because Morgana was trying to stop Kale from essentially destroying the entire like city. And because of it, in the crossfire, their dad was caught and he ended up perishing. And so they kind of like, Demacia kind of like not necessarily gave up on both of them, but Morgana left to like atone for everything, and Kale like kind of just hard focused on her like reign of justice. So Demacia started looking for more ways to protect themselves without that kind of winged protector twinsies to rely on. So that's when they started like looking for ways to protect themselves, like creating Galio. So that's in the very, very long past. More modern day history, it's pretty dark, honestly, pretty simple. They banned magic, so even the potential use of magic is completely outlawed. They have these people called gray marks that are essentially mage seekers. And if you are caught because you have magic within you, so if you're just born a mage, like you have no choice in the matter, you're just born a mage, you end up essentially either being exiled, purged, which is basically, you know, quote unquote curing you by making you drink petricite, or death by petricite steel. So they do not like mages. Now, do you by chance know the most famous like mage related prisoner that they have?
It would have to be the man in chains, Silas himself, I would think.
Yes, yeah. So pretty obvious, but so his whole thing is he has the ability to see mages, right? So when he was caught, he was
Is he from Demacia?
I'm actually not entirely sure. They didn't state it in any of the research that I had, whether or not he was like born there. All I know is that he was in Demacia when he was caught. And he had the ability to see mages. So originally they were like, well, we want you to be a mage seeker. But this kind of backfired because he could see the highborn mages that were kind of like in the shadows. You know, Lux.
Yeah.
Is Ezreal a mage, or does he use like hex tech? What's his whole thing? Do you
I'm
know?
pretty sure he is a mage because he
Is
says
he?
a lot of good mages out
Oh
there.
yeah, you're right, but none of them are
Of them are
this
this.
hot. Yeah, so the two of them are good examples of, like, well respected noble people with
Mm-hmm.
magic in them. So
Mm-hmm.
because he could see them, he got imprisoned. They were like, okay, maybe you know too much.
Yeah, I said,
um
okay, maybe not. Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah. So essentially where we're at now with Demacia is that there are small villages around Demacia, right? Most
Mm-hmm.
of them are actually very appreciative of magic. The inner city hates it. Outer city, they're like, yo, it helps us with farming, it helps us with sustainability, with like survivability. We like it. So over the
Mm-hmm.
years, a lot of Demacian allies have started to seek aid from other places because it's rumored that Demacia might be on its way to its downfall,
Yeah.
because there's a somewhat of a civil war that is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much it. Some champs from here include Fiora, Galio, Garen, J4, Kale, Morgana, Lux, Lucian, Poppy, Quinn, Shyvana, Sona, Silas, Vayne, and Xinjiao.
There's
It's a lot
so
of them.
many
Dude, there's so
Demacia.
many Demacians. It's actually insane. When I was like writing it out, I was like, my dear Christ, why is everyone from Demacia?
I feel like it makes sense though. I feel like if I had to pick two regions that had the most champs, I would say Demacia and Noxus, to be honest.
You want to know what's crazy? I don't know how many Noxus has, but let me tell you, I'm next with Ionia too, so this works out. Ionia has so many. Like
Yeah.
like an absurd amount. And I think part of it is because if you remember from the timeline, this is like what's considered the first lands.
Yeah, like
Like
the
this,
OG area.
yeah. So this is like the whole place is beautiful and natural. It's like the spirit of nature is actually like the governing body of the land.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would live in Ionia if I had to live
If you
anywhere
had to
and like,
choose,
yeah, if I had
that's
to
fair.
choose, because like one, if you just like look at this place, it's beautiful, but then also like it's got this very like naturistic vibe, like very like we respect all living things, and like nature will punish you for doing things that like just don't make sense, like hurting
Mm-hmm.
wildlife and not using it for something. So like
Yeah.
if you kill an animal and you use its fur for clothing and you use its meat for food, totally cool. If you kill it for sport, nature's coming for you. Like it's just a
Damn, I
beautiful
guess I'm living in
place.
Ionia too.
Literally. We're gonna go vacation in Ionia.
We're just gonna go real quick, guys.
um
Sorry.
so I'm gonna go ahead and start with the champs just so you can hear how many are from here, okay?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
hear it. Let's hear it.
Ari, Akali, Aurelia, Ivern, Jin, Karma, Kane, Kennen, Lee Sin, Lilia, Master Yi, Wukong, Rakan, Set, Shen, Syndra, Varus, Zaya, Yasuo, Yone, Zed.
Is there more? Like,
No,
I'm
that's
waiting
it.
for more. Oh my gosh.
So many of them. I was so surprised too, because like I was like going down the list. I was like, okay, 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 okay,
Okay,
okay.
damn.
But yeah, all of these people are from Ionia, and like there is part of the reason is because of Vestaya, like Ari, Rengar, Wukong, like the um, animal human hybrids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have humans, and you also have the Vestaya Shere, which are the natives.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different cultures going on here. But Ionia, in a nutshell, like I said, it is ruled by the spirit of nature who rewards, punishes, and basically brings a balance. A big example of this is actually Syndra. Syndra was basically like so OP that the spirit of nature dragged her underground with vines and basically like cryo freezed her. Like I think she had like
Mm.
water suppressing magic and she was put into like a stasis just because she was too powerful. And like so that's just one example of like how the land is kind of like in control here, right?
Yeah.
So originally it's alleged refugee land from the Void War, but it's actually unclear whether or not that's official. We do know that the Vestaya Shirei were the natives, and because some of them could shapeshift, when humans settled, it caused the breeding between the two, which led to Vestaya. So that's why we have Ari, Rengar, Wukong, and there are different like avenues. There's actually like a tree somewhere that a quote unquote researcher drew, which was essentially like all of the different branch offs, because some tribes of Vestaya are more close to Vestaya Shirei and others are close to more humanoid. And so they kind of split off.
Like a spectrum.
Like I think Nico's a good example. Nico is technically Vestaya, but is so close to Vestaya Shirei that even though she fled to Ixtal, she still talks about it like in her voice lines and stuff about her being Vestaya Shirei, like that they're like she's not, you know, muddled with human blood, so to speak. Okay, so and then I put this in here because this is a really cool story. It's more of like a lore story about a champ, but like it's so good that I have to share it. So there was a man named Ivan the Cruel from the Freljord, and he was looking for a way to fight the Iceborn way back in the day, right? So he traveled to Ionia for essentially some sort of answer as to how to defeat the Iceborn, and he happened upon the Heart of the World, which is this like giant tree, right? It's the God Willow.
Like the Tree of Life type thing?
Yeah. So it's called the God Willow, and essentially he had to fight off like chimeric beings, and he was like, you know, just enraged. He wanted his answer. He like fought and fought and fought, and he got to this God Willow, and he just started wailing on this willow in the middle of the fight, and then the willow fought back, right? Completely undid him. Just like completely obliterated him. And then
like to nothing?
Yes. And then he came back as Ivern with Daisy.
The Bushman.
Yeah, our Bushman. And I reading it, I read Ivern the Cruel, and I was like, no dots were connected, because the Ivern that we know is like Happy Grandpa Bushman.
Yeah,
you know? like there's
like
no way.
Not gonna hurt anything.
Yeah, he's not gonna go wailing on trees with an axe. What? But yeah, apparently that was his undoing. Was like he was from the Freljord, and he was like looking for this answer. He hit the tree hit him back.
God.
Shadow magic was also found in this region, and it led to the spawn of Nocturne, which I'm not going to get into, but is a really cool story. And then another big piece of Ionia's lore kind of stems around Noxus and its invasion of Ionia. So around 40 years ago, the leader of Noxus was driven mad by LeBlanc because she a baddie. And she essentially convinced him to invade Ionia. So then Ionia was kind of split in two halves. One wanted to fight, and the other kind of wanted to like passively let them invade, right? Zed is an example of a character who wanted to fight back, but his master, who I believe is Shen's father, said no. So Zed actually founded a new order of shadow techniques. So they were hostile to just about everyone, which is, you know, a little psycho, but okay. And then
like we get it, but
yeah, like I understand, a little bit extreme. But also, like, you know, it's going a little crazy there. And then on the flip side, Shen became the Eye of Twilight, so basically followed in his dad's footsteps. Jin and Zed and Shen have like a really big intertwined lore, because Jin was like basically just a psycho who was serial killing all around Ionia and like horribly mutilating bodies, and he was imprisoned.
It was for art.
Yeah, right. Well, okay, yeah, yes. But is it
Just a little
excusable?
bit.
No. um, but yeah, eventually he was actually freed from prison because they wanted to use him as a weapon against the Noxians. So
Mm-hmm.
as the invasion went on, they actually armed children, like Noxus, armed children and would dump them on the shores of Ionia, basically convinced that nobody would want to hurt a child, and therefore they could like get away with it, right?
Like, are
And
we talking like babies?
we're talking like like not babies, but like children, like armed,
Like,
trained children. Cain.
oh my
Cain
god.
is an example of this. Riven, yeah, Riven is an example. Talia, like all of them were dumped on the shorelines as children and basically sent off to kill. And
Jesus.
Cain actually ended up uh becoming one of Zed's students because I think he was surviving on the shorelines, and then he
Mm-hmm.
was picked up by Zed because Zed was like, "What? You're a child. What are you doing out here?"
Yeah.
So he brought him in as a student. So that's, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ross was already there, and Ross like took a liking to the shadow technique, so he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Noxians eventually turned to using chemical bombs, and then all Ionians basically said, "We're gonna fight back now." We draw the line at chemical bombs.
Yeah, we said, well, not against children. What? So that took you the whole time? What?
Yeah, like literally. Um, yeah, so that's Ionia. Ionia's got the biggest history, but for a really long portion of it, it was really peaceful. It was just Vestaya charade, like living peacefully, and then humans came to escape the war, and they, lived happily in peace with one another, surrounded by
Mhm.
nature, who was just like governing the land perfectly. And then Noxus came in and said, "Uh."
No thanks.
hmm But that's basically all she wrote. Ionia is just one of the most beautiful places. I swear to God, I want to live there.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I feel like if we're gonna go from one of the prettiest places, I feel like going over to Noxus is like a really big change. Because I feel like
Oh,
when you
for
think of
sure.
Ionia, you think like Fae, elements, and like nature. When I think of Noxus, I think of like a dwarven kingdom, like full of metal and forgery and
Oh
like
yeah.
just all that like lava in the middle. Actually, speaking of lava in the middle, there is an immortal bastion in the middle of Noxus. They call it the Heart of Noxus, which is an ancient bastion is like I don't know how to explain like what a bastion is. It's like a really big center point that you can see from anywhere within Noxus where all the higher ups would meet in, and it also is a forge in a way. It's a really old forge.
hmm
So they use it for different things now, but obviously in the past it was constructed during the Dread Revenant Mordekaiser himself, and it's the oldest building they have in all of Noxus. And while I said that it was used as like a forge early on, the reason why I said early on was because it actually has been raised and rebuilt over and over again throughout the centuries, just
Oh.
because um Noxus doesn't have a lot of people who like liked it at first, like the ideals behind it, I guess. And so they would like burn it to the ground and trash it and then refix it, and then it happens again and then
Oh my
refix it.
God.
Oh, especially like during Mordekaiser's rule, like after all that shit went down, like they would burn it to the ground, redo it. There was a lot going on with the Bastion, okay?
Yeah. I bet.
For sure. But basically, overall, Noxus is one of the most powerful empires in all of Runeterra, with a fearsome reputation. Beyond the Noxian borders, people view Noxus as a brutal city, people entirety, very brutal, expansionist, and overall just threatening. Like they, whenever you think of Noxus, think of like the scariest warriors you can think of. They're huge, they're really strong, they're like
hmm
warrior since birth type people.
Darius got it.
Got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
one of them for sure.
Yeah.
But they are actually a very exclusive society. So like even if you're from Noxus, I feel like they're very preppy. Like they're very clicky.
Mm-hmm.
There's the higher ups and then there's everyone else. And
Yeah.
so the higher ups like value strengths, obviously, and their more developed talents, and that those people who have those talents are thus more respected and I don't like the term cultivated, but like that's the term they use. So assume
Mm-hmm.
like if you have those talents and you have those strengths, you're only allowed to hang out with other people and like have relationships with people who have similar talents so your talents aren't wasted on like
Oh.
lower life forms essentially.
So like if you're like a Swain, you're not gonna be hanging out with like a Katarina.
Yeah.
I
It
see.
like yeah, cuz like if Swain's like more magic built,
Yeah.
he would be with more magic,
Like
like stronger
LeBlanc.
magic people. Yeah, to
Yeah.
continue that like onwards. But like Katarina would hang out with more like the assassin type people to keep
Right.
that type of talent continuing down like the bloodline. It was very weird, very gross. I won't lie. I
Oh,
was like, just let people do
yeah,
what they do.
that's interesting. That's like
Hmm.
it's like the whole idea of like arranged marriages just to keep
Yeah,
like
in a
some
way.
sort of like
Us-
purity. That's
Yeah.
gross. I hate that.
Yeah, like pure highborns is like a way you can think of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But even
Gross.
before all that jazz, the Noxy were actually once a fierce barbarian tribes. So like there were a bunch of different tribes up in the Noxus area. They didn't say specifically where, so I would just say a bunch of different little like tribe villages all over Noxus. And they actually banded together and took over an ancient city, which became like the center of Noxus, like their capital, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since they banded together and like took over that city, they have just continued to like build that ring, push out, build that next ring, push out, and like kept expanding, expanding, expanding. And they're just growing armies like crazy. Like ever since they had that one sense of like this is Noxus, they decided to take Noxus everywhere. Every single one of them. They just kept pushing it, value strength above everything, just
Yeah.
and the Noxy who were actually able to wield magic, for example, like LeBlanc and Swain and all of them, they were held in such high esteem that their magic abilities were sought out, honed, and then harnessed just for the benefit of the Empire. So, like, even if
Wow.
you're like, how Ionia would be like, oh yeah, magic would be cool. Like, you can use it with like nature and like enjoy yourself, like, better your people, better your life, and like, if you wanted to, like, we'd love to have you. These were like, no, like you got magic, you're coming with us. Like they, I would assume, like would take the kids away from their parents and families too, just like make them like little
That's
warrior babies.
disgusting, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. And so even though like obviously throughout the centuries, like the highborns that would be like running the place and whatnot, they were kind of the only ones. They're called old noble houses that wielded considerate power within the city. So like yeah, there was a government, I guess. They didn't really talk much of it. They just kept talking about like how old families would have like their namesake in the city. So like for example, I don't know any of these champs' last names, but for example, if we're talking like the House Darius, if they were like from the past, like an old nobleman family, he would be in automatically by birthright, by name.
Oh.
So then if someone like LeBlanc, for example, like comes in and they're like, oh well this is new House LeBlanc. They're like, okay, well like where are you from? And they're like, oh
Mm-hmm.
well I traveled here. They wouldn't really care about who LeBlanc is because they weren't from Noxus originally. They were not from the original families. They're kind of like just
Oh.
looked down upon. They're a bunch of snobs over
Yeah.
in Noxus, I won't lie.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so basically, a bunch of barbarians turn expansionists, turn war villains and warmongers, and also they're just gross with power everywhere. Power hungry barbarians, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
And if we want to go
Figures.
run through all the champs, we got Cassiopeia, Darius, Draven, Katarina, Kled, LeBlanc, Mordekaiser, the big man himself, Riven, Samira,
Hot.
Scion, Swain, Talon, and Vladimir.
Dude.
There's just a bunch in there too.
Mordekaiser's so hot.
Mordekaiser is hot.
He's so
Also,
hot.
I think Darius is hot, I won't lie.
I'm not gonna lie to you that sometimes Darius be hidden.
You really
Like most
do.
times maybe not, but sometimes yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um Damn, yeah. That's I forgot that Cassiopeia is because she's originally Shuriman, right?
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
originally, but also like Cassiopeia and Katarina are sisters. So wherever she came from in the Shurima side of things, because obviously she has a foothold in it in some type of way, but Katarina also must have some kind of foothold in Shurima
Right.
as well, if they are
Or
sisters, and where that comes from.
do you think maybe I wonder if they could be like half sisters? It was one of those things of like Cassiopeia's one parent or whatever had like some sort of mage like power or something that a
Hmm.
Noxus like highborn maybe wanted for their children. Like
Yeah,
you know what
or
I'm
it was
hinting
like
towards?
two moms, like one dad type thing.
Yeah, like where it's like this would be good for a Noxus bloodline. Like some creepy ish like that. I
Yeah,
wonder.
no, I can totally see that. Also, it also would make sense that they have different parents because Cassiopeia is literally half snake
Yeah,
and
and
Katarina's not.
Katarina's not.
Yeah,
So,
something went wrong.
bro, yeah, one of these is not like the other.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Don't get me wrong, like I'm all about all that interesting stuff between like characters that are actually siblings and stuff like that. But when I found out that Katarina and Cassiopeia were actually sisters, I said, "Excuse me? D-
Huh?
How? How?" Like that was my only question.
Healer.
Hello? Like what?
No, I can see that for sure. I think
Hmm.
that's so interesting. Noxus is one of those places that I feel like really intrigues me just because I'm like seeing all the champs that come out of there, like, why y'all so mad, dude? Like
Yeah. Why y'all trying to
why
kill everything?
why is LeBlanc crazy? Why is Mord crazy? Why is
Yeah.
Samira scary hot? Why is Darius like what's up with y'all?
I don't know. I think they're just born with that hate fire. Just a
Damn.
brewing.
Damn.
All right, so I'm just gonna jump over to the next one. This has got to be one of my favorites. We
Oh,
got Piltover and Zon.
hype.
Oh, I can't. I just love the little difference between Piltover because Piltover's the like upper city and
Yeah,
Zon is the lower city.
right.
So, I actually don't remember. I think I might cover.
You
Am I
cover
the one who
both.
covers Zon too?
Yeah,
Oh my
you
god, that's
cover
so hot. We'll
both.
come back to Piltover, I swear. But anyways, overall, so we got Piltover up in the like upper region of isn't it an island?
Oh, I'm failing on my map duties. Hold on.
You're good. I don't think it's an island. I think it's just a city like on the coast.
Piltover is yeah, it's on like this little. Would you call this like a channel? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know what a channel is actually.
It's on the Panama Canal, okay?
Yes,
That's what we're
it's the
gonna compare it
Piltover Canal. All right.
to. But anyways, Piltover is a thriving, progressive city whose power is ever growing. So basically, if you have seen Arcane, I might reference this a little bit just because Arcane is a huge show of League that bases on Piltover and Zon's like dynamic and stuff like that. So that's the only way I can reference this in a way that would make sense, and it has a really good visual on it if you haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's a huge culture center where art, craftsmanship, trade, and innovation walk hand in hand. So it's like just a one big like science committee if you wanted to like give a basic justification for it. There's masters of forward thinking, designing engines of commerce. So you can nudge wink wink to Heimerdinger for that. He's one of the oldies who's there who has been working with Hex Tech and old age machines and engines for years. Basically, Piltover is situated on the cliffs above a district called Zon. And this overlooks, obviously, the canal that we're talking about. It overlooks like this really big two sides of the ocean, and thousands of merchant ships will come here, bringing goods from all over the world. We got a bunch of trade sectors. They have really big dockyards where this happens. I feel like this would also be one of those places who would have not like good trade with Bilgewater, but like smugglers would totally smuggle stuff into Piltover.
Oh, for
Like there's
sure.
no way.
Why wouldn't you?
Especially Exactly. Like, how could you pass that up? Especially like if you don't get caught and the money makes it back to you in Bilgewater. Like, how could you pass that up?
Yeah. I mean, I know because the Piltover is, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Arcane is like canon, but not 100% canon. But like
Yeah.
the crime from Zon spills up into Piltover, right? That's why they have such like a
Yeah.
strong police force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like even if they checked every ship that would come into Piltover and like check through the like the goods and the mechanics that they're
Like
transferring over or
customs,
like
basically.
yeah, like customs essentially, but like there's no way based on the high like amount of merchants coming through, especially ever since Hextech was created. Whether or not I'm not sure if the Hex gates were canon for sure. But imagine them traveling through the airways too. That's so much more of a police force than I think that would be physically capable of checking every single ship 100%
Right.
through. That something happened would have happened to get through. There's no way. Especially if like it's directly from like someone would sneak onto the ship and as they're going through customs, they sneak the stuff off and go right down to Zon. Like they're so close. This cliff that they're talking about is like there's got to be some back alleyways that they're sneaking stuff and smuggling it straight from Piltover to Zon, and then there has to be merchants that go not only from Piltover but like would come from Bilgewater to Zon directly because there would be channels and canals going down there as well, even if it was like a polluted
Mm-hmm.
city.
So with Zon and Piltover, is it like a crevice? Or is it like the
Um,
whole city is basically like built on top of Zon?
so I wouldn't think of it as like if we're talking about Zon being like the bottom part, because I
Mm-hmm.
always think of upper and lower because that's just how visually it is depicted in Arcane, but also like upper would suggest like the snobby, like well taken care of city where everyone gets to live in like la di da, but like Zon was lower and like gets shit on and like is polluted and dying. So
Yeah.
they depicted Zon in Arcane as like down a crevice, quote unquote, but it's not like the crevice and then like the city's shoved into the corner. It's like there's a literal cliff where Piltover is physically built above and on like standings and stuff. And then if you travel down, or I guess there would be like walkways and stuff set up now, but like in the past, obviously there was still pretty separated, but it's like a huge cliff that it's set up on, and then if you go down it like you can get to Zon
Mm-hmm.
itself because not pollutions but like waterways would spill out of Piltover and it would make it down to
Right.
Zon rather easily, and then that
Right.
would be like the common duct way,
Yeah, because
like
I
sewer systems.
I I haven't seen like a lot of reference images before of the two of them, but I know in Arcane, like the way that it came across to me was almost as though it's like if you go to Piltover and you go to like the edge of the city, you can like look over and see Zon below. And like,
Yeah, in a way like that.
yeah. Okay.
I feel like it would be like if you put two cities like next to each other like on like the tectonic plate and like
Yeah.
sent an earthquake through the middle and like one raised up and one went lower. That's how I physically depict it.
Yeah.
But I would still say that there would still be some kind of connection between the two. Because
Mhm.
obviously the people from Zon have to have some sort of communication with Piltover because Zon is more so like the coal miners, quote unquote, on that because
Right.
they obviously weren't mining coal, but like the miners and stuff down there to get raw materials, and
Mhm.
then they would have to send it up to Piltover somehow, and then they would get like money, food,
Yeah.
like protection and stuff that way.
Considering considering the advancement in technology that Piltover has, they've probably got like crazy set up like elevators and chutes and stuff
Oh
to get
yeah.
down
Oh,
there, I'm
for sure.
sure.
There's no way that they would just not. But basically they kept on calling Piltover the City of Dreams, where like if you made it up there, like you were golden. You can do whatever you want, you can research whatever you want, you can be one of the greatest scientists, you can be they did have some slight magic, but as we referenced earlier, it's like runes, aka hex tech magic, so science magic.
Mm-hmm.
Though there were still speculation of people who lived within the city who actually had like old school rune magic. It was just lesser known because this was more like the scientific side of things. So if you just had magic, you're kind of like cheating in a
Right.
way. So it wasn't really highly delved into or highly like known about. It was the people just had it and like were kept quiet about it. I feel like more magic people hung out down in Zaun, if anything, because
Yeah.
they were like kicked out and cast aside.
Yeah, I feel like that would make sense actually.
Hmm. Um, but as we keep referencing to Hex Tech, once that was found and like came together, excuse me, Piltover became one of the biggest cities of the most skilled craftsmen in all of Runeterra. Like, if you had a place to be to learn how to use Hextech and to make a name of yourself, Piltover is where you were. Like, you would easily just make the up and up. And just like as in Arcane that we keep referencing, Jace is the one who like comes together and makes the Hextech along with Victor. Um, so they kind of make a name of themselves. But the way they do it and the way it's depicted in the show, I can only suggest that you watch it. Also, season 2 is coming out this year in November, by the way, November 2024. If you want to catch season
Catch
2 of
up
Arcane,
now.
get ahead if you can. um, but I think it just does a wonderful job of explaining it, and all the pictures that we're showing here of the like mechanics behind it, the engines, the how big the city was. They talk about sea gates and sun gates
Mm-hmm.
and all the different ins and outs of the city. Obviously, they had to keep those on lock, so the police force were insane. And on top of that, just to give you a quick rundown of the champs that were here, we've got Caitlyn, Camille, Ezreal's here, Heimerdinger, Jace, Oriana, Seraphine, and Vi. So there was a ton there.
Hell
Oh, I
yeah.
just love the storyline behind it all. It's amazing.
I'm excited to get to Zon now to hear like the other half of it. Yeah.
I'm really excited.
But first,
But first,
let's take a stop in a place that was once beautiful and is now this.
oh no.
So the Shadow Isles, they are disgusting, to put it quite honestly. They actually used to be these beautiful blessed lands. Actually they were at one point called the Blessed Isles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot here.
Mhm.
It ties into a lot of champions. Like, they are the way they are for a very specific reason. Um but essentially when they were the Blessed Isles, uh the essentially there was a place called Valoran, right? Not Valorant,
Mhm.
not the game. Valoran. And Mord ruled over it. He ruled over Eastern Valoran. And he began being called the Warlord because he would fight his way all the way to death, promising he would be back. When he did die, his body was burned, but the bones and armor were stolen by his followers, and they resurrected him. So his armor was basically shielding this like necrotic, misty shadow, and then he built the Immortal Bastion. So the armies of Valoran basically took down this bastion. So you know how you were saying it was like being destroyed and then built back up?
Yeah, multiple times.
Part of the reason was because when he was resurrected and he built this thing, they were like, no. So
take that down.
They took down the bastion and he was killed again. So
does it say how many times he was?
Yeah, dude, no, his whole thing is twice slain, thrice born. That's like his,
my God.
you know, his whole whole thing.
His little thingamabob.
Yeah. And so basically years and years and years, like centuries later, Callista, a champ we all know and love, she was sent out by her king to find a cure for poison to save his wife. So if no one knows, that's Viego. His wife was poisoned. He was desperate. He sent Callista out to basically look for an answer. She traveled to these blessed isles where she essentially met people who had they had these, like, you know, ways about them that maybe implied that they would know how to bring back his wife. So when she returned to try to give this information over, Viego had went mad, and he ordered Hecarim to kill anyone who tried to remove the queen's, like, rotting corpse from his arms. So Hecarim did it. He killed a whole bunch of people. City is in, or like the kingdom is in, like, total ruin. He's going crazy. Hecarim's, like, ready to serve his every last wish. So essentially she decided to keep the Isles to herself.
So is this like Viego was still residing alive during the Blessed Isles, and Callista was in the Shadow Isles?
Callista and Callista and Viego resided in Viego's kingdom, which it doesn't actually explicitly state where he ruled. Yeah. But they were both fully alive, human, no Shadow Isles, like, taintedness at all. And she was like a right-hand woman. Hecarim was like a right-hand man, but they were all kosher. Like they were not the Shadow Isles-y people that we know today.
So gotcha.
Yeah.
I caught up then.
So essentially what happened was she wanted to keep the Isles to herself, figuring like maybe this isn't the best idea. Yeah. Which she was imprisoned for because she like came back without an answer, you know?
Yeah.
And then Hecarim essentially came to her and said, you know, if we bring back the queen, it can save the kingdom. So she says, you know what? Yeah, I'll take you. So they get to the Blessed Isles, right? And this is, if anybody has ever seen the cinematic, it is beautiful. And also
this cinematic is gorgeous.
Sad. It's like, it is everything. It's probably one of my favorite cinematics. But Viego essentially takes his wife and puts her into the waters of the Blessed Isles to try to resurrect her. And what ends up happening is this creates the black mist, and then those who were slain are essentially brought back to life as these necrotic shadows. So that includes Mord, which is why he's twice born, you know, or thrice born or whatever. So he essentially was revived along with anybody else who was engulfed by the black mist. This includes Callista and Hecarim and Viego, anybody who was engulfed by it while they were there. And so this black mist basically overtook all of the Blessed Isles. So when they were once these like beautiful architectured, like incredibly like high-tech looking, amazingly modern kind of cities with like these incredible, like, look at the garbs, like it's just this beautiful place that almost, like, when you think of the word blessed, this is very much like something that could come to mind.
For sure.
Due to the waters and essentially like what happened, it became this like ruined city engulfed in this black mist that mostly sticks around, but every once in a while it has the I guess you could call it an opportunity to essentially take flight over to places like Bilgewater to attack. So like Bilgewater goes through these things called harrowings a lot. And the harrowing is when the black mist attacks, and that is, I know where I apologize, I don't remember like the native name, but I know that those natives from Bilgewater, the lands that it was before, they do have like the techniques, like I know Alawi fights off the harrowings. Yeah. So I'm sure that has like some sort of like sacred protection against the black mist. And these mists just like they just ravage on like it for all of eternity now, and like most of the champs that reside here were either once slain or have been engulfed by the black mist themselves. So those champs include Elise, who has a kick-ass story. Gwen, Hecarim, Callista, Karthus, Maokai, Thresh, Vex, Viego, and Yorick. And even though Mordekaiser is technically Noxus, he is a big portion of the Blessed Isles / the Shadow Isles.
Honestly, I feel like Mord kind of dips into everywhere.
He does. But he was also like Mord, I think people don't realize, is a big portion of League lore. Like things are actually like formed around like what happened to him, because he was essentially like the that Iron Revenant, that we were to the reign of the Iron Revenant, you know?
Yeah.
That whole time period was basically him going on this crazy like warlord adventure where he was just conquering everything, fighting to the death, getting resurrected, fighting again. Like, he was going all over the place, kind of just going nuts.
I don't know if he's referenced as a quote-unquote god, but I always pictured him to be one. Not the god of death, but like a god of sorts.
You know what I think it is I think that it's not necessarily to me that he seems like he actually is a god, but it's just he seems so unfathomably powerful with such a big history. There's no other way to describe it than like godlike.
Yeah. But I feel like he's low-key, in my mind, on par with like Azir.
Oh my god.
That's how I picture it.
No, I could see that
I know
too.
he's not, because like Azir's old god magic, like way before his time.
Versus like, Mord is like necrotic magic.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe it's not so much that he seems like a god, but maybe that he seems like a devil.
Yeah. Like an all-powerful being, but like of the opposite side. Like not of like a higher being, but like from the down under. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cool. I can't wait for his spotlight.
Dude, I cannot wait to simp over this man on an episode. Yeah, but that pretty much sums it up. I love Shadow Isles people. I'm obsessed with like Karthus. I'm obsessed with Yorick. I'm obsessed with Elise and Hecarim.
I'm obsessed with like the Shadow Isles entirely.
Like,
it's just so cool.
If the Shadow Isles were inhabitable, I would pick this place to live. But they're not inhabitable. You cannot step foot here. Like, you will die.
But the want to be there does not die.
Correct. Now, speaking of Azir and old god magic, why don't you tell me about Shurima?
Perhaps Shurima
was meant to fall.
Guys, we have been doing that ever since we got into call together. We always sit out like 30 minutes before podcast actually starts, and we're like finishing a final touches, Veda setting up stream, we're asking questions to each other. In between that, all we kept doing is perhaps Shurima was meant to fall.
It's on. It's literally time. Like it. Cav sent me she drafts the tweet every week because she's so much better at it than I am. And when she sent it, she was like, "I had to do it," and it's just at the bottom. Perhaps Shurima was meant to fall. We've said it like 8 times already.
It would also just be me just going, like Nasus's thing. So fucking good. Dumb.
Dude, I have you partially downloaded as a Nasus main just because of how often we say it, stemming from when you used to play Nasus and top lane all the time.
I love Nasus. Also can't wait for that spotlight as well. But anyways, besides our little tick got in the way, here we go. So the Empire of Shurima was once a thriving civilization that spanned all over the continent. It was forged in the bygone age by the mighty god warriors of the Ascendant Host. It united all of its people and created lasting peace between them. So this is obviously predating Azir, because obviously Azir came later as one of the ascended gods, or quote-unquote failed ascendant. So there was the god warriors that would reign over all of Shurima. That would be like their, I don't want to call it government, but like the people they look to when running the city. No one really dared to rebel against Shurima. They were really strong. They had this entire, it was if you can see what Veda would be showing on the screen of like bits and pieces of Shurima, it's like a huge ass desert. I mean, if you're gonna raid or fight anywhere, it would not be Shurima, or to be honest, I feel like Demacia would be quite on par with this as well because it was in like the nook of the mountains. So kind of the same thing, like what is it called? Terrain wise, it's not your
Yeah.
best bet. Um, but anyways, however, after several years and centuries and whatnot of growth and prosperity, there was a failed ascension of Shurima's last emperor, which left the capital in ruins. So that caused the great downfall of Shurima because it was one just like this really pretty golden city. Like I kind of pictured it as like a fancier Egypt in a way, like old Egypt, like with pharaohs and pyramids and like
Yeah, that's
old
always how I
places.
picture Shurima is just
But
like a
like
more
fancier.
advanced, yeah, more advanced like ancient Egypt.
Like Atlantis, but in the desert type thing. So basically once a very beautiful city full of prosperity, gorgeous, like people were in peace. Yeah, no one really remembered it anymore. Years passed, and to be honest, Shurima became more of a myth. They're like, yeah, this is just ruins of nothing. Like, no one could really remember what happened. Obviously, there was some people who, like, knew of the past, like, obviously the older people. But, like, as those people died off, the story wasn't really shared anymore, and Shurima was all about forgotten, to be honest. And now the nomadic people who don't really settle in one place, obviously via nomad, they would just wander around. They would roam the now quote unquote wastelands of Shurima looking for untold riches because as I mentioned before, there was a bunch of gold and magic and like golden weapons, stuff from old houses that would be left around. And they would look through the catacombs and accepting coin for services. So there would be like not hitman, but like people who would be sent out to like treasure hunters and raiders, tomb raiders who would go around and
Mhm.
like go get this stuff for coin, but also keep a part of the coin for themselves as well to sell elsewhere. So later there was a new emperor after this one who failed their ascension, who was Azir, who arose and led them into the new wondrous age. So there was the failed descendant, and then it was years later did Azir come into play of Shurima. So I'm not
Right.
sure during that time, like what per se happened. But basically it was once great, it got really shitty, and then Azir was like, "I got this, guys," and now he's bringing Shurima back up to like its noble status that it once was.
Okay, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
One of the favorite things,
Mhm.
one of my favorite things about Shurima is what's called the Zoantha Cascade. It's basically this giant uh cliff and moving desert. So there was like this giant crevice in the middle of Shurima, and it was just a moving cascade of sand. It would just move in different paths and it would carve into the rock. So picture like the Grand Canyon, but like the sand always moving and it would take stuff down there. So people
Whoa.
would, they're called Shurimans, would bring beloved objects with them and like say a little prayer to it and then toss it into the moving sands because they believed that once they traveled off the cliff of the moving sands down into Cascade, that it was then brought to the ascendants and the godlike people that they would then get um like gifts back to them, and so it would be like tossing a coin into like a water fountain type thing.
Whoa.
It's so
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I know it's so interesting to me because like I feel like Azir is so, I don't want to say irrelevant, but I just like I never see much about him. I don't hear much about him, but he's such a big deal with Shurima.
He is.
Like
Yeah, but
it
I
like
feel
he's
like I
got
don't
his
hear enough
own,
about it.
I know, cuz he's got his own whole like time slot on the timeline. Like his failed
Yeah.
ascension is like a big freaking deal for the timeline of the lore. But like
Mhm.
I know little to nothing about it.
Yeah.
So now I'm excited for his spotlight too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like where he came from cuz like to be honest, Azir always reminds me of Ra from the Egyptian
Yeah, same,
gods.
same.
Yeah, cuz he's like the bird god and
Yeah,
like the god of the sun, and obviously when
Curse of
he uses
Ra.
his passive, he puts out like the
The Curse of
I
Ra.
don't know, I don't yeah, the curse of Ra, but like also it looks like like a sundial to me.
Yeah.
Like one big sun temple type thing. So it'd be really interesting. I dived into a few champs like spotlights and stuff like lore like that. Azir's not one of them, so I'm also really excited for
Yeah,
it.
that's very, very
And how he ties
exciting.
into like other champs as well.
Yeah.
Because of the other champs that are in Shurima who I feel like aren't referenced enough to have like known each other.
Yeah.
I don't really
Okay.
know of like, oh yeah, well, Sivir and Nazus know each other from this time. I
Right.
don't
Like
really hear
there's
that.
so many like all of the champs from Shurima seem so different to me. I'm like, how did any of you ever interact?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, here's the rundown, guys. We got Akshan, Amumu, Azir, the new champs Cassante and Nefiri, Nazus, Rammus, Renekton, Sivir, Skarner, Talia or Talia, whichever you prefer, and Xerath. Out of like half of these people aren't even people.
Yeah, like who
Like Amumu's a dead mummy.
half of these people aren't even people.
They're not. Azir's a birdman. Amumu is a dead mummy. Nefiri's a dog. Nazus is basically Anubis. Rammus
Well, but the
is
Darkin are a thing, right? So do you think the Darkin at least know each other? Or
maybe.
is Aatrox from here? No, right?
No, he's not.
Like what the fuck?
I
How did we
don't
get
know.
Nefiri here?
I have no idea. It just
Oh
said
my
Nefiri was
God.
part of Shurima, so I said, "Yep, add it to the
Listen,
list."
all I
right.
know is Azir is Ra and Nasus is Anubis.
That's all I.
That's all I got. That's all I got for you.
That is it. Good
And
luck,
then-
guys. You'll tune in next time whenever we talk about these guys.
Amumu has a very
Depression.
good music video that is very sad.
That is
That's
also
like
true.
that's what I know. Damn.
I just can't. I'm excited to see all these tied together, but just thinking about it hurts my brain.
I know, I feel that completely. Okay, well, I believe I am next, and before I get started, as you guys know, we're actually having Choccy on today to help us out. She's ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring her in here so she can banter with us for the next
guest star Choccy. Guest star Choccy.
Okay, let me bring her up.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Let me
Oh
get
my-
you on screen here. You're here. You're with us
I'm here. I'm
in
here.
the making. Okay.
What? Oh, a microphone.
Yeah, you get your own microphone.
Yeah, you get your
Actually,
own little
isn't
microphone. Hello.
Isn't that exciting? Okay,
So
so
exciting.
I know you've been in chat, so you know where we're at so far. But
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and get started with Targon here, which honestly is one of my favorite regions for very obvious reasons. If you know me as a League player, but it is beautiful, and also like I personally love hiking, so like reading through this, because Mount Targon is a beast, right? Like it's a huge ass mountain. I was like, I could climb it. Like the whole time I was like, I could do it. I think I could do it the entire
Easy.
time. But yes, Targon is actually this incredibly beautiful, like mystical mountainside. So like within the like caverns of the mountain and everything, settlements have started, and like they've got their own religions, they've got their own like rituals and designs and everything, and they have this huge like celebration that they do anytime that somebody wants to like try to climb the mountain, because it is a very big thing there. Where they do these farewell ceremonies around this like kind of little ring, because this ring signifies like essentially you're exiting of like home, right? Like that's when you're
like
going
a portal type thing.
Kind of. It's like saying like past this point you are on your own. There's nothing anyone can do for you. It's your journey now. So it's just like overall a very like beautiful, like harmonious place, and I just think like it's very I'm like a really big fan of like architecture that's based around like, have you guys ever heard of the like cave dwellings, like the old cave dwellings in like, I think it's Arizona, maybe?
Yes.
Mesa
I love
Verde. I am obsessed with them. They're amazing.
It
And
also
like,
reminds me of that one scene from Avatar: The Last Airbender too.
Oh my god, the
oh,
tunnels.
yeah.
Oh.
Well, not the tunnel part, but
Oh.
there's like the one part where they're versing like forehead eyeball guy, and like that's where what's it called? Zuko
Like the air
like
temples?
goes. Yeah, like, but I don't
Yeah.
remember which air temples they are. I think it's like Western or something, and it's built into the cliff face of the mountain, and that's where they reside because you can only get there by bison. But Zuko's there, and like they have a little moment. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, understandable
Really pretty.
actually. Yeah,
It's
well, I
just
mean,
so pretty.
and yes, and it's the mightiest mountain in all of Runeterra because it's pretty remote aside from like most of the other remote areas. Like
Mhm.
magic is essentially like pulling on the mountain, which is causing the peak to constantly stretch up, meaning the mountain is ever changing. It's always getting a little taller and it's always being like kind of pulled up, and
That's so
therefore
cool.
the scaping around it, like the path that you have to take, the you know, the cliff sides, the rocks that are there to guide you up, there it's
Mhm.
never the same path. Like you can't go up Mount Targon, come back down, say, hey dude, this is how you climb it. There's just no way. Every single person experiences a different journey when they try to climb it, and once you reach the top, there is a mountain that takes you to the real Targon, which is inhabited by the aspects that sometimes will imbue the mortals they find worthy with their powers. So that's where you get like Pantheon, Taric, Leona, and Diana, right? So
Ooh.
the big thing about Mount Targon is that their main religion is Solari, which
Mhm.
is worshipping of the sun. It's a faith that very much covers most of Mount Targon's land. And
Mhm.
before this, I used to just say Targon, but like the truth of it is that this is called Mount Targon. Targon is where the actual gods live. So like the portal at the top of the mountain is to Targon.
So is Targon like you can go there, or like only the? It's like Mount
Only the
Olympus.
worthy. Yeah. So if you reach the top, it's actually kind of interesting because some climbers ascend for a day, some ascend for weeks, some for months. Like it, the time changes, the difficulty
Mhm.
changes. But once you reach the top, there is basically a test that is continued. And if the soul of the person climbing is lacking, they will
Mhm.
see nothing. They will just see like the top of a mountain, maybe some sort of like beautiful scenery, but they're not going to see
Yeah, like
anything
a view, and
special.
that's it.
Yeah, but like if you're Pantheon and you're climbing that mountain, what you're going to see is kind of a shimmering light, right?
Mhm.
And if they continue into that shimmering light, they either never return or they will return days, months, or even years later, forever changed because now they're
That's so
imbued with the
cool.
power of whatever aspect found them worthy. But more often than not, it's death. Like most of the people who climb this mountain, you're not getting shit, you're dying. And so
Oh
like
my god.
there were like creepy stories of like people who would be climbing and they would see like past climbers almost like in the rocks themselves, and it's because since that magic is always pulling up on it, the people who perish on Mount Targon often become part of the mountain. So it's
That's
like,
cool though.
yeah, it is cool, but you have to have a pretty strong ass soul in order to climb the entire mountain, get past
Mhm.
all of that, get to the top, and think to yourself, my journey's not over, and continue going. Like
Yeah,
that
I
takes a
wouldn't.
lot.
I'd
Yeah.
look up and I'd see the mountain grow, even if it's just by a centimeter. I'd be like, that's enough for me.
You know what? No.
That's a lot of willpower.
That's
That's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
crazy.
that's
lot. That's crazy.
that's I'm not trying to prove myself to Mount Targon today, all right? It's like,
Yeah.
and it's like it's one of those things of like, how do you train for that, you know? Like how do you
I
train?
feel like you're just built like that.
You just like put the what's it called, a treadmill on like 100% incline, and you just like
Yeah.
keep running at it for days.
And
And then you're like,
Yeah.
there's no end. There's no end. I just have to keep going.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, have you guys ever seen the Mount Targon like cinematic?
I might have, but I mean, I still need to rewatch back all the cinematics. I really
Same.
want to spend a day where we just watch them.
I think we
Can
do it.
we do that, because I've actually never seen a cinematic before. I think
Yes,
the only
It's
one I've
done,
seen is
set in
absolutely.
stone.
Fiddlesticks.
We'll
Okay,
see you
alright,
next
yeah.
time.
Okay. Alright.
That's hey, me and Chalky hang out like every Saturday. You should just come along with us one day
This
and we'll
is
watch
true.
all of
Hey,
them.
don't tempt me. Not this Saturday. We got something planned. But
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
any
yeah,
other
yeah.
Saturday, let's go.
Ayo. But yes, so the mountain itself is pretty much the whole basis of the lore, just the way that people climb and all this stuff. The other parts of the lore kind of come from like different people who've been imbued with the aspects. So like you have Miria, which was Morgana and Kale's mom. She was given the aspect of justice. The Solari, Leona and Diana, right? They were like best friends. And Diana was raised Lunari, which is the moon worshippers, but she, because most of the land is ruled by the Solari religion, she was basically like brought in to say like, hey, forget the Lunari background, like study this religion, because the Lunari kind of live in these enclaves around the mountains. And so they're attempting to bring back that religion, but Solari has such a tight grip on the surrounding lands that they just haven't made any progress. So Leona and Diana were like best friends. There is a possible love story there, just saying. It's very cute if you watch the cinematic, but like
that's adorable.
it's not, I don't think it's like 100% confirmed. It's just like very obvious in the cinematic. So they were, you know, at the very least best friends, and Leona kind of saw Diana diving into this Lunari background, and they were actually like forced apart because Leona became the aspect of Solari, and then Diana the aspect of Lunari, and so they can never really like coexist that way. Because the Lunari are shunned from the Solari and vice versa. So it's like
Romeo
a really
and Juliet.
Yeah, literally. It's such like a tragic. So the cinematic is like this couple who's basically like being like chased away, because I don't know exactly what they did, but whatever it is, they're trying to like ask for a way out from the gods. So they're like ascending the mountain, and they like reach the top of the mountain and like nothing is happening and they're being chased or whatever, and Diana is like overlooking from a cliff, and I think Leona was like maybe one of the ones chasing them, and this path lights up that the couple gets to take. Like the gods give them a path to ascend, and it's like this really sweet look that like the two of them share, like Diana and Leona. They like look at each other, and it's just like so completely sweet, and like they kind of like decidedly like let the couple go. It's just such an incredible moment, and it like encapsulates basically what Targon is, which is no matter what the Solari believe, the Lunari believe, the mountain is the decision maker. If people make it to that top of the mountain, it doesn't matter what they've done, the gods are now the ones who judge them. And I just think that it's just such a kick-ass region. I love it so much.
I think it's super cute too that doesn't Leona also have a Solari skin and then a Lunari skin? Like,
yeah, they both have the solar and the lunar eclipse skins.
Dude, they're probably one of my favorite skins of both of them.
The Leona,
they're just so cute.
The Leona solar eclipse the solar eclipse one makes me laugh every time, because that's the like Tomo thirsts over that skin, and I think it's so funny. But it really is like one of the most gorgeous skins in all of League of Legends.
I like the dance animation because it has tinkling bells for it.
It's like
both of them.
Diana has the Winter Blessed, which I think that is one of the most gorgeous skins to ever exist. But when I saw Lunar Eclipse Leona for the first time, I was like, oh fuck, like we might have some competition. I used to be obsessed with Elderwood Ari, but my tastes have changed.
The Elderwood skins are gorgeous.
Yeah, I have Elderwood Ari and I wouldn't stop using her.
Okay, I know everybody loves it, but the blossom skin set for Ari, the spirit blossoms, oh my god, like dude, they're killer.
Have you ever seen Withered Rose Syndra? Because that's on the top of my list too.
They're pretty. I like the Withered Rose, Crystal Rose. Yeah, they're gorgeous.
They're incredible. The old god skins get me sometimes too.
I like the Cho'Gath one because he has a whole city on his back.
Yeah, it's so cool. Okay, before we get to
we're getting sidetracked. Sorry, guys.
So the champions from Mount Targon is the only thing I have left, which is Aphelios, Aurelian Soul, Diana, Leona, Pantheon, Soraka, Tarek, and Zoe. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what aspects are in most of them. I know Aphelios is part of the Lunari. I don't think he actually has an aspect power, but I know he's part of the Lunari. I'm not sure about the rest of them.
I think Azul has to be both.
Yeah, well, because Azul and Zoe both, actually, they have, like, astral god powers, right?
Yeah, because, like, they're both the quote-unquote gods of this section.
Right. So I think they're technically both. Tarek, I know, ascended the mountain, but I don't know what he was gifted with. Like, I don't know if he was given an aspect's power or if he became. Okay, it's also very confusing because the gods of Targon are called aspects, but people call, like, Pantheon and Diana and all them aspects. Like, they'll say, like, oh, they're the aspect of, but technically that's what the gods are actually called. So, like, they're more like not vessels, but, like, what would you call that?
I would say a vessel for a god.
Yeah,
I would say that is a vessel.
Yeah, so they're like essentially vessels for the aspect. So I don't know if Tarek is now a vessel or if avatars is a good one. Thank you, Naoki. So yeah, so they're like avatars for these aspects, and like they don't get, it's not like they get possessed by them, but they get their, like, a fraction of their power is how they do it. But yeah, so those are the champs from Mount Targon. It is a beautiful place. I'm obsessed with it. I love Pantheon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Pantheon has got to be my favorite champ, I think.
He's amazing.
I don't play him. I just like to look at him.
I don't play to play. I play to look.
I do play to look. Baker Pantheon could get it.
True.
But
and all.
We're gonna hop on over to probably one of the most important lore regions ever. The Feliord. I love the Feliord.
Still.
This place is incredible. As you guys can see, it is mostly just frost.
Just tundra, everything.
Yeah. Yes, it's just complete frost. It's a very intense, like, think Siberia. It is fucking cold. So, like, it is crazy cold. And essentially it is a place where you will find barbarians, you will find different tribes. It's very, like, kind of in that sort of setting versus having, like, cities or villages. There are tribes, and some of these tribes are more, like, seclusive. Some of them are joined together, you know, some of them have diplomatic agreements, stuff like that. But something that you guys may recognize is actually the Howling Abyss, because if you've ever played ARAM, that's where you are. The Howling Abyss.
Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
So,
that's good.
But mostly the Freljord is just a very cold, icy tundra that just hurts to walk in. much like any windy, cold city in the northern part of the world, or southern part, I guess. But Freljord has a lot of lore, and I mean a lot. So I'm gonna sum it up as, like, simply as I can, just to not talk about it for like 2 hours straight. But it is it was home to the demigods. It's the northernmost part of Valoran. Those Freljordian gods are Anivia, Orin, and Volibear, for anyone who doesn't know. Currently, it's ruled by the kingdom formed by the Avarosan tribe, and they are currently at war with the Winter's Claw and Frostguard tribes. So just make sure you remember these names, because each one of them has a leader that's very important.
I already forgot. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's welcome back. It was fine. I say don't forget, but I'm going to remind you 3 times anyways.
Oh my god, amazing.
So the Howling Abyss that's located in the Freljord is actually a bottomless crevasse surrounded by an ancient fortress that's carved into a glacier. And that is how the official lore describes it. So it's just like this massive hole in the middle of a fortress. And essentially it got its name because way, way long ago, there were 3 sisters that ruled all of the Freljord. Their names were Avarosa, one of the tribes, Shirelda, which if you play League, you know that item, and Lysandra.
Shirelda's grudge, for anyone who didn't know.
Yeah. So there were these entities called the Frozen Watchers, right? They're actually, I just showed a picture, technically. They're like these creepy things in the ice, like this eye in the abyss of the ice. It's like very ominous and honestly kind of pretty. Ooh. But the Frozen Watchers,
Sauron's eye in the ice.
Basically.
Got it.
So these Frozen Watchers, they were basically approaching the Freljordians with offerings like immortality in exchange for loyalty, and of all people, Lysandra said, yeah, I'll do it. And so she became the Seeker and the voice of these Watchers. Due to that betrayal, basically the people of their tribe were kind of forged into weapons known as the Iceborn. So earlier, if you remember me talking about Ivern the Cruel going over to Ionia to try to fight the Iceborn, this is around that time period. So the Iceborn were created due to these Frozen Watchers. They essentially took those who pledged loyalty and turned them into these like walking weapons. Avarosa started an uprising because things were chill for a second, and then she was kind of like, hey sis, not cool. So she started an uprising, and the final stand between the Watchers and their loyalty and then the people of the uprising, it took place on the Howling Abyss. So in the end, the Watchers were essentially thrown into the abyss, which they're screaming out as they were falling is what gave it its name, the Howling Abyss. So
that's so sick.
Yeah. So
lore moment. Holy.
You said that's straight up a lore moment, bro. That's
straight up a lore. Whoa.
So yes, the Watchers laid defeated. Avarosa and her sister Shirelda eventually perished, but Lysandra stayed alive. Lysandra did, I think, cause one of their deaths, but I'm not entirely sure as to how. But we'll probably get into it when we give her a spotlight, so we'll pass that up for now. Ash, who we all know, is obviously the holder of Avarosa's bow. That is what she's got like a bunch of voice lines about Avarosa and the Freljord. Like, she honestly, I don't know who she was before, but she was just queen material right off the bat, if we're being honest. She was basically chosen as an heir to the throne by Avarosa when a hawk led her to Avarosa's legendary bow. And she used that to defeat the people who were basically like against her taking charge. So there was this small little uprising essentially in her village because nobody really wanted like her. She was gaining recognition and some people didn't love that. So they essentially tried to take her down, but she used Avarosa's bow to defeat her like conspiring enemies, I guess, and she earned the respect of her whole tribe. Lysandra of the Frostguard, so calling it back here, Lysandra has the Frostguard. Ash is of the Avarosan tribe. Sejuani leads the Winter's Claw, right? So Lysandra and the Frostguard, they essentially wanted to unite the Freljord under a single banner. So she approached Ash and Sejuani and basically asked, like, would you guys be willing to unite our tribes under one banner and just be the Freljord? And Sejuani was straight up like, nah. Me and my people, we're gonna screw off over here and we're gonna sit our asses down and we're not moving. That's our spot.
I guess if they do their own thing, like, that's no harm, no foul, I guess.
No, it's true. She didn't say, no, we're gonna go to war with you, but she did say, like, we want nothing to do with you. Which I would take over, like, hostility.
Yeah.
But yeah, she basically was like, I don't really give a rat's ass about anything. Do what you want. We're gonna be over here. So she goes off into seclusion, and then essentially what Ash does is she's introduced to Tryndamere, the barbarian king. Tryndamere is, if you guys have not seen their most recent League cinematic, you need to watch it, because this will make so much sense with this information I'm about to give you. Tryndamere was basically like a barbarian who his rage is just completely unlike anyone else's. Like when he goes into a rage, it's almost as though he is fighting for his life when he doesn't even necessarily need to. Like, he could have everybody knocked down and he's just still raging. And so he was basically very quickly, like, you know, kind of like given the alpha male or barb king title with his tribe, and they lived in the Freljord, and Lysandra introduced the two to try to get this kind of like union, just trying to unite all of the Freljord, barbarians included, right? So when Ashe was at her coronation, she offered Sejuani a seat on the council, and Sejuani said, "I will never respect you or accept you as queen, even though my people do." So Sejuani specifically has bad blood against Ashe, but her people are okay with Ashe being queen, right? So there's no bad blood there. Lysandra was part of the arrangement to unite the Freljord, so there's no bad blood there. So things should be peachy keen, right?
Should be.
No. Sejuani and Ashe are at war.
Oh my god.
So yeah, and when Ashe was coronated, she was able to choose somebody to stand by her side. So she chose Tryndamere. She named him king. And I'm like in love with their love story. So it is
like kind of a backstab though to Sejuani, you know?
For choosing Tryndamere to be king.
Well, yeah, like I mean, well, no, not to be king, but like to like, you know, I feel like if she wanted peace, maybe to include them a little bit more, but I mean, also I'm not there.
So she offered Sejuani the seat on council. Like, she was like, if you want to be involved with making decisions for the Freljord, that seat is yours. Sejuani straight up said, "I will never accept you as queen. Goodbye." Yeah. So I mean,
that is fair. That is fair.
So she made her peace. She was like, "Honestly, girl, you go be your queen. I don't give a shit about this." And then like later on, they declared war on each other. So Avarosan tribe and Winter's Claw tribe are now at war, right? Tryndamere and Ashe are king and queen of the kingdom. However, because Sejuani's tribe was isolated, and technically since they are not fully united tribes, like Winter's Claw and Frostguard are technically still completely separate, they have full right to like try to declare war and overtake the crown and everything. But Ashe and Tryndamere like fight side by side, like they've been at this war, and more than what they seem to know is going on below, you know, like there's more at the bottom of the iceberg, you know what I mean? Because Lysandra she's trying to get everything united again, right? But really what she's trying to do is she's trying to bring back the Frozen Watchers that are sitting at the bottom of the Howling Abyss. So this is all like distraction work. Lysandra's just like up to some like really crazy shit right now, trying to like get the Watchers back, like get that. I think she just wants the immortality still, because I think that was her deal, and I didn't look too much into her lore because we're going to give her a spotlight eventually anyways. But I know that the big gift that the Watchers like offered in exchange for loyalty was immortality, so I almost think that's what she's got going on. So like because of that, she's still loyal to them, so she's trying to bring them back.
So she's like trying to unite people, but like for a bad reason.
Right, like good actions, bad intentions.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I respect it because I know the backstory of, like, what she's doing, but it's so fucked up.
Right.
Radio.
And that brings us current. Like, Ashe and Trin are just kind of, like, fucking shit up as a married couple, and they've got their kingdom, and, like, you know, everyone's at war, and it's just like, it's a crazy time up there, you know?
Yeah.
So some champs you'll find in the Freljord do include Ashen Tryndamere, of course, Lysandra, of course, but also Anivia, Braum, Gnar, Gragas, Nunu and Willump, Olaf, Ornn, Trundle, Sejuani, Udyr, and Volibear. I think my favorite fun fact about the Freljord, just as a quick snippet, is that well, there's two of them actually. Braum's shield is Ornn's door. Like, he stole Ornn's door to use as a shield.
No way, really?
Yes, yeah. So the shield that he's like donning in battle is just Ornn's door.
That's a big ass door.
Yeah, for real.
For Braum being a big dude.
Yeah,
like that's huge.
Yeah. My other favorite snippet is that Gragas, his whole thing is he's going around trying to make the perfect beer. He's just a broski looking to create the perfect brewski. That's his whole thing.
I never really pictured Graggy being a part of Freljord because he's naked.
Have you ever heard Ash has a voice line where she says something like, oh, like, you don't have a shirt on and I don't have any pants. Yay, Freljord. Like, it's like,
yeah, like I never would have pictured him to be it, but I feel like if he's always drunk, you know, like they don't really feel temperature change, that he's chilling.
Yeah, that's true.
He could, a brewski.
Yeah, dude, he could literally just be mad chilling.
He's like one of those frat boys at the party who like rip off their shirts and they're like, yeah, I'm feeling
yeah, like Muscle Man.
It's just like 24/7.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Well, before we give Chocky all of her spotlights for all of their things that they did research on, which is I'm so ready for because she covered some amazing stuff. I'm going to jump into Zaun real quick just because we covered Piltover earlier and I need it. I need it in my life. It's so pretty. But as we stated before, Piltover is the dream city up above and Zaun is the like they don't really call it anything, which is kind of sad because I feel like Dream City sounds really cool for Piltover. But anyways, yes, basically Zaun is a large undercity district founded in the canyons of Piltover. There's fumes leaking from the corroded pipework running through the city and the endless stained glass of the industrial architecture. The architecture of this area, though it may be run down and busted up, it is stunning, and they did an amazing job representing it in Arcane as well. Zaun and Piltover were once united in the past, but now they are separate yet symbiotic societies. So they kind of have a hand in hand in each other, but they're completely different. Like, you will never find a Piltover's like, oh my god, I have like this friend from Zaun. No, they don't like each other. They do not. They're purely there to be like, you got the goods? Yep, I got the goods. Trade. That's it. Nothing else. Piltover's wealth has allowed Zaun to develop in parallel to Piltover's growth, so though Piltover may look like more built up and more fancy, Zaun has got a bunch of upgrades as well. It's just not more seen because they're kind of in the low light of Piltover's success and everything. Many goods find their way to the black markets, and some of the Hextech inventors find their way to Zaun in order to test out their dangerous studies free of restrictions. One of which you can know is Big Man Singed. He is an old doctor, scientist thing who did experiments all over Zaun with many different subjects, different experiment types. He worked with a bunch of different fumes, potions, and brewings, all that jazz. So we'll talk about him in a spotlight as well. Him and Warwick are immensely interesting, and I cannot wait to go into that info. But there has been some development of volatile technologies and reckless industries that have rendered whole sections of Zaun to be polluted and thus dangerous to live in. So though Zaun may seem pretty big in comparison to Piltover, you can't live there. The fumes there are far too big and you will die, unfortunately. But even with all of these runoffs and fumes in these certain areas, there's still plenty of life within Zon, and the people themselves have learned to exist with it around and thrive off of it, and even have growing parts of the city for themselves. Just to reference Arcane again, there was the big parts of it where they talk about like Silco, who I'm not sure is like fully canon for like League lore in general, because Silco's not actually a champ in the game. He was for TFT for a moment, but he kind of runs like the gang down there, and he like ran the quote unquote like government part of Zon, where you can like run where you get the goods from, where the goods are going, the black market where the smugglers are at, who's in tie with Piltover, and like if they have any spies in Piltover as well. And so there's a bunch of different ties to a bunch of different characters from these areas, from Piltover and from Zon. So some of the champs that you might have heard from that I did also reference as Singed and Warwick, we've got Blitzcrank, we've got Dr. Mundo, we've got Echo, Janna, Jinx, Renata Glask, Twitch, Urgot, Victor was mentioned before as well. Zach, Ziggs, and Zeri. So I can't wait to have a chat about the whole relationships between Piltover and Zon champs, because they run deep. I'm mostly excited for Warwick because he's also going to be referenced.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for that.
It's going to be so cool.
I'm so beyond excited.
But that is all I have for Zon, so take it away, Choccy, wherever you want to start first. Can't wait.
Oh, I was muted. Holy. My fault. All right. Hello. I'm not going to be as organized. I am chaotic by nature. So let's start with a Bandle City beatdown, okay? So, to enter Bandle City, it's actually a spirit realm. So it's only doable through these mysterious portals that open in the material realm. So you can't just like be like, I'm gonna go to Bandle City and then get there like easy. So these portals only open under particular circumstances. So those with the ability to interpret the language of the Yordles can do like hand gestures to get the portals to open.
What? Is it portals all over Runeterra?
Yeah, so there are several portals like all over Runeterra. So for example, there's like a portal that like if you go to like the beach and you like do these like hand gestures, it'll like open from the ground.
Oh my god.
There's actually a picture of it on the League website. But it like opens up this deep cavern that like fills with seawater. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. There are a couple of portals that like are stagnant, like they stay kind of there. And there's one in the Bandlewood. So there is there's the Bandlewood, which is like kind of it's pretty reliable. It's a reliable portal.
Yeah.
But with all of that like magic energy and stuff, all of the fauna and flora is like affected by the magic from like the portal, right? Okay. So, if you're fortunate enough to be allowed passage into the realm, the non-Yordles will be met with an intoxicating experience.
Oh my god.
So the food is going to taste better, the colors are going to be brighter, the sunlight is eternally golden, and the waters are like crystal clear.
Nah, bro, these people are on shrooms.
Literally, no.
They're on shrooms.
You go there and you're shot with like 40 cc's of vodka and like freaking
you're
pops
given
like a big cap in your mouth. Like,
you've got like a smorgasbord of drugs to choose from before you walk in.
Literally. So yeah, but that's only if you're a non-Yordle.
Right.
It is also said that Yordles may be from Bandle City, like that may be where their origins are. So it's not confirmed though.
Okay.
So it might be that way. as well. It also might not be that way.
There's just like no confirmation.
No one knows where the Yordles come from.
Right.
No, well, no, not even where the Yordles come from. Literally, like, nobody knows what the experience is because no two travelers can actually agree upon what they saw.
Oh, like everybody comes out and they're like, yeah, man, there were like trees as high as, you know, Mount Everest, and they were like, and then like somebody else comes out and they're like, yeah, man, it was chill. Like,
yeah, right?
It's like drinking fairy wine. You're like, you don't really
Yeah.
know what happens. You're like on a little trip.
Exactly. No, like literally it's like everybody has like a different trip. Like they're all like dropping like some kind of hallucinogen, having an experience. The only thing that's consistent is that they've aged past their years or they never return at all. So if you're a mortal who goes there and you come back, it's like years and years have gone by. Or you never return at all. So you just have like a really good time. And then you maybe just die there.
So this place is a whole ass like pocket dimension.
Yeah, really.
No, it's the spirit realm. So it is the spirit realm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So like it's not on the map, obviously, because it actually can't be put on a map.
Yeah, I was looking for it. They said, Bandles, we're just gonna show Runeterra. Bandle City ain't here.
What? Actually, like with all of my regions, you can't really put them on a map except for once.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, although there's some debate around this, it could be where the Yordles originate from.
Okay.
So if you want to locate a portal for yourself, you can find out and let me know, because I'm really curious.
Also, let us know which hand signs you're throwing up.
Yeah,
true. Which gang are you affiliated with?
Which Yordle gang's hand signs do you throw up for which portal?
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think Kled's hand sign would be? You think it would be like trying to make a K or something for Kled?
Maybe.
Like sign language, just like a K.
You think Tristana's like sign for a portal is just finger guns?
Like she goes bang bang and
yeah,
opens.
she goes bang bang and it just like pops open for her. She leaps into it.
I think Yumi would do like that cat girl, you know, where they like put the fists
like
up
the
and then
Nico
near their mouth
thing.
Like,
oh my god, she totally would.
For real.
That's insane.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
So,
also, let me know when you want me to pull up your attachments, okay?
Oh yeah, you'll know. You'll know. So, Yordles don't always give off the most appealing appearance, but using this thing called glamour, like it's like a mask, they can make themselves look less appalling and blend in a little bit.
Wait,
so they're not as
Yordles don't look like how they look?
Oh, no, they don't. So Yordles, like, they give off kind of like a ugly appearance. Not ugly, but it's definitely like stunning to the eyes. Like, I wish I had a graphic in there of like or like let's see, like somebody, you know, before and after glamour.
Yeah.
Because actually Yordles don't necessarily control their glamour. But Heimerdinger, for example, crafted these unique technological devices for himself and Ziggs to help them blend over into Piltover.
Wow.
So they could blend into Piltover. That's
so cool.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so they actually don't look like that. They just invented. He's a smart guy, so he's like, I'm gonna make it look
what
like
went wrong with Twitch? Is Twitch a Yordle?
No,
or is he just a rat?
He's just a rat.
He's a rat.
I imagine Yordles to look like Twitch before, and then after they look like how they look. Like I think Twitch is like the ugliest thing.
Oh my god, what do you mean? I love rats. Like I love the idea of rats, but like
no,
maybe not
dude,
rats
I can't stand Twitch. I don't know if half of it comes from just how much I hate playing against him. And I hate that he's sneaky. Like I hate hearing that. It is literally the bane of my existence.
I think it looks cool. I like Ice King Twitch. I think he looks really sick with that one.
Okay, let's see here. Yes, okay. So glamour, right? Okay.
Yes.
So the champions of Bandle City.
I got you.
I can get a visual representation here. So Bandle City is home to the most iconic ADC of the e-girl community, Yumi. Literally the most iconic ADC.
Quick interjection. Choccy is actually the #1 NA Yumi ADC player out there. Jesus Catch Christ. Her at Worlds with Faker next year, playing Yumi ADC.
DLC pack, like
literally.
Yes, I am a master at Yumi ADC.
Yes. Can confirm.
And it is iconic too. Like Yumi is an iconic ADC. Probably the most well-known ADC out there. Like, you think ADC? Yumi instantly.
Yeah, of course.
It's also Bandle City is also home to 3 out of the top 10 most disliked champions.
That's also fair.
Which is Yumi, as pictured, Teemo, which is also pictured, and Lulu.
Really?
So those are those are 3 out of the top 10 most disliked champions, which is interesting, but they're all for very respective, different reasons.
You have the reasons, right? You're gonna tell us the reasons, right?
Well, I mean, I feel like
I think I know the
more
reasons.
Dead giveaways.
Yeah.
I mean, Yumi is just like really annoying to play against because obviously she's cracked. Teemo.
Right. Okay. Arguable, but okay.
I think I mean, I don't really have the reasons, but it's like Lulu is just like also pretty good. Like, it's pretty annoying to get polymorphed.
Honestly, though, yeah.
Yeah, and Teemo's like, what?
His mushrooms? Dude, Teemo's the one supplying the mushrooms for Bandle City.
Oh my
I just cracked the case.
Damn,
when you walk through a portal, you get Teemo shroomed, and you are tripping balls.
Exactly.
Cracked.
That is true. He provides, like, Teemo, he's cracked. He's got like all of this stuff going on. So some less notable champions include Corki, which is like, okay, Corki, love him, right? But like, what does he give?
Do you want to hear a great Corki story, actually?
I'd love to hear a great Corki story.
We crack my knuckles. I love telling the story. We have a very close friend of ours, right? His name is Tomo. And every once in a while, we're usually up at weird hours of the day and night, right? So it's like, I don't know, 7:30 in the morning, and we load into a game of League. And this was before all of us kind of like learned how to play every lane so we could fill. And we were like, you know what? Screw it. We all go fill. And Tomo got placed mid lane, a place that he was not used to, had never really played. And he said, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna try Corki. So he gets on Corki, and the way he described it was that he was like, I would auto click to go to lane, and then on the way to lane I would fall asleep, and I would wake up to the sound of me dying. And then he was like, and it would be rinse repeat. So he ended up going like 0-18 and 0, and he got banned for 2 weeks.
Impressive.
Playing Corki. So if you want to know what Corki gives a 2-week ban.
Okay,
that's why we don't talk about him.
Corki has one cute skin. It's the one with the corgi.
Yes,
like,
yes, I love him.
Corgi, like, come on, that's the only good thing about Corgi.
It's so
let's be real here.
I want it, but Tomo won't let me get it because he's gonna disown me if I do.
Probably, that's fair.
This is true. Okay, Rumble, another kind of rat-like face.
Yeah.
Which we love. We support rats here. No.
Yes, no, we do. As long as they're not Twitch specifically,
rats.
I support rats.
Yes, so we love Rumble. Tristana, as well.
Hate
which
her.
Is like, like, she's okay. She's okay. And then Vigar, okay? So these are the champs of Bandle City.
Does anybody else think that Vigar kind of looks like a Nintendo champ or like a Nintendo character?
He does.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
he
the
does. Time. Especially in that picture where it's Nintendo.
yeah. Because that's I'm starting to realize like the actual comparison. It's crazy.
Right? It is very similar. So yes, so you can see like a theme across these pictures here. They're all little guys, like like they're all like yordles. So it's like, okay, so I don't know. I'm not gonna assume anything because it's not confirmed, but I think it's the home of the yordles, is Bandle City. But
yeah.
anyways.
Excellent.
All right. Moving on. Ixtal.
This place is interesting to me because it's newer.
It is. It's pretty new. It's pretty cool. It is on the map. We actually have a mapper this time.
Nice.
So Ixtal, it's known for its mastery in elemental magic. So like Avatar: The Last Airbender styles. So it's one of the first independent nations to join the Shwarmian Empire. Oh my god. I'm gonna pronounce everything wrong. I'm so sorry.
You were butchering it earlier.
The Shawarma Empire.
The Shawarma Empire, okay? So Ixtal actually has a longer and deeper history than most would think. It's likely played a significant role in the Shwarmians' rise of the wait. Sorry. Notes moment. So it's likely played a significant role in creating the first Ascended. So it's not just the Shwarmians, it was actually hand in hand with Ixtal.
Oh
wow.
With Shurima?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
With Shurima. Sorry, not shawarma. It's
Shurima. No, it's okay. I kind of like shawarma.
I like
the Shawarma Empire.
The Shawarma Empire.
Yeah.
You didn't ascend for this.
Yes, ascend for shawarma. Oh my gosh, imagine
that's just like
opening up a shawarma place.
Ascend for shawarma.
Ascended shawarma.
Dude, if I ever open up a shawarma shop, that's what I'm calling it. Ascend for shawarma.
Okay, I'm gonna also butcher this. The cardinal archaeology seat of the ruling so the ruling caste right now, right, is the Yuntal. The Yuntal. I don't know. Yuntal. Yuntal.
Okay.
So they've stood before the ancient Shwarmans to release the first sun disk.
Oh, okay.
So whatever that means. I've been trying to keep up all night, but I'm a baby at League, so...
The sun disk is like in Shurima. I'll pull it up on the map for you, but it's like in the center of the Shuriman city. The Shurimi. It is hard to say.
Shuriman city?
Yeah. So this little sun disk right here is like the whole center of like, it's just this big levitating disc in the
You can picture it as like Azir's passive in game. Like that little turret thing that he brings up is the sun disk.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have stood. So the Yuntal have been the leading caste since before the sun disk was raised, since the first sun disk was raised.
Okay.
So its culture has given as a part of the Great Westward Dysphoria, giving rise to civilizations such as Baru, Helia, and Targon.
Oh.
So
wow.
It is a long established culture that has been yet to be noted in League lore until recently, I assume.
Wow.
But it seems like it's kind of at the start of a lot.
Yeah, like this almost seems to me like this is dating back closer towards like those first lands, Ionian times, yeah.
Well, just you wait.
Oh, wow.
So, by harnessing the wilderness around them like a shield, they were able to survive the void and the darken.
Oh, so it is from back around those times.
It is back from around those times. So they lost a lot of their region, but they managed to preserve some of it and their elemental magic, right? So present day, zipping forward, they live in a secluded little like bubble pretty much from all of their neighbors in a highly sophisticated archaeology jungle that's free from all outside influence, and their society has no army. It's just protected by magic.
Wow.
That's probably why no one talks about it.
Yeah, probably.
Because there's always a big war about magic and non-magic, so that makes so much sense.
No, they just stay out of it. Like, literally, they are the ultimate bystander.
Yeah,
they're literally a bystander, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh yeah, like, they literally just, like, sit on top of their, like, you know, this epic fortress, and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna watch these, like, wars happen around me. Like, and we're not gonna do anything about it. Okay, so currently, obviously, the Yuntal is the ruling caste of Ixtal. Ixtal's secrets are preserved by the most gifted and wise elementalists of the Yuntal. So they kind of guard all the secrets. If you want to join the Yuntal, actually, there's no criteria. You just have to be unanimously approved.
Oh. Dude,
so honestly, just pull up and give it a try.
Yeah, just throw out your best, like, just put on your Sunday's best, walk up, say, this is me, and then just hope that they're like, yeah, you're in.
We want you.
Literally, like, you just have to get approved, but, like, there's no criteria. So the prefectures serve as peace officers, in a way, throughout Ixtal. So they resolve disputes, like, to ensure that Ixtali people have little interaction with the outside world. So they're like peace officers in a way. You know. So upon acceptance into the ruling of Yuntel, the initiate will have their own magic woven around them by the Vedalian. And it creates shimmering garments that respond to the needs of the wearer. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, so they get when they go when they get initiated into the Yuntel, they like just get their magic like woven around them as clothes. There is a really cool picture on the League website that like kind of shows like their garments, which are actually pretty sick. I wonder if it's easy to find, but let's see there. But yeah, they shine, and it confirms their status as a true elemental master who will lead and teach others. So like it just like shows it's on like the regions one. I'm not sure if it's on the regular League website, but it is just their magic that wraps around them that like shows their status.
Damn. Honestly, some of the like concept. Oh wait, the Yuntal? Like these people?
Not those people. If you like go to like League, the regions, like, you know, that where it shows all the information about the regions and stuff.
Oh, like
it has like all those little pictures.
I know what you're
and
talking
stuff.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of shows, which will also bring me to another point. Because there's also something super sick about Ixtal that I never knew about the Runeterra. Yeah, so...
Oh.
Yeah, right? Like, right, the people of Ixtal are, yeah, like, I don't know, it's so cool. It's just, like, their magic woven around them.
That is so sick, actually.
Right? So, like, it empathizes with their needs. So like if they have anything going on, then it will like accommodate them, which is kind of cool.
That's so sick.
Yes, it is really cool. Okay, so that's their symbol of status. So the elemental drakes, right?
Right.
The elemental drakes are the dragons that reside in the abandoned ruins of Ixtal. So, they no longer fight alongside the mortals. They're kind of content to be alone. They're kind of just happy doing their thing. But there are dragons in Ixtal, which I think is pretty cool.
That is pretty sick.
You sold me. I gotta go.
I'm there.
Right? Like, I mean, although it's in full lockdown and like you can't really like have contact with the outside or, you know, whatever, but like it's pretty sick. For me. Okay. There is another picture on that website of the Unalai. These are the 10 daughters of the current high seats of the Yuntal. So these are like the princesses, I guess, of the Ixtal. So they're pretty cool because they're just the daughters of all of the high seats. They're pretty privileged upbringing. They're pretty cool though because they're just princesses. But but I don't know, they're pretty.
They are so pretty.
They're like really pretty, and they're like really luxurious because they're princesses. Okay. Yes. So let's see. So they've not made any involvement, and they view all other factions of Runeterra as upstarters and pretenders, and they want nothing to do with it.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay,
they look
pop
down on
off,
everyone.
Ixtal. Jesus.
Yeah, they're like, we have the elements to protect us. You guys have all of this BS.
Oh my god. They're like, you're magic? Funny, cute.
Yeah, no, they give no fricks. Okay, so the champions of Ixtal are, so,
Dude, these are so good.
so, Nidalee, who's like, Nidalee? She's like a cat woman. She's like a jungle woman who can turn into a cat. Pretty cool. An aspiring member of the Yuntal. So Milo, or Melio, he actually wants to be a Yuntal member.
Oh.
So that's like his like whole thing is he wants to be a Yuntal member and he's trying to prove himself. So the Living Rock, literally Malphite. Nico, who's part reptilian, which is like cool, I guess, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
She literally calls herself a tomato.
That's so funny.
One of her voice lines is, I don't know exactly, but she literally says, Nico a tomato. It's so cute.
The Nico's voice is like so strange to me. But I find it so appealing, and I love when she goes, "They cannot handle Nico." I don't, that voice line gets me, dude.
She's so cute.
Nico is pretty cool. I've also recently found a liking to Lilia.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
Lilia's
I love
awesome.
Lilia a lot.
Like, she's really fun to play, actually, which I was surprised by because I never really liked kind of tankier champs. But she's really fun.
Wait until you build her with speed.
Oh my god.
Movement speed and AP
Dude,
is the way to
she's so fun.
Oh my god. I'm actually excited to like actually start playing League for the first time.
I'm excited to play with you again.
I'm really excited to play a champion. I mean, I'm gonna step away from my ADC Yumi roots. I think it's time.
You know what? It's it will be missed, but it's understandable.
Yeah, I think it's coming. Yes. Oh, where was I? Okay. So, yeah, so Nico, so the walking Beyblade, Kiana. So Kiana is literally just like a Beyblade though. Like she's like, yeah.
Yeah, she has her disc and she just lets it rip, bro.
Literally, she lets that shit rip. It's like, it reminds me of the good old days. Yeah. So Rengar, he's a little emo. And Zyra, the plant-human hybrid, she's not really memed on that much. Like, out of all of the League characters I've looked up for this, she's the least memed on.
I mean,
which makes me think she's not very popular.
It's not that she's not popular, it's that like she's balanced. And like it's hard to meme on like the actually balanced characters. Don't get me wrong, early game she's like OP as shit. And if she for any reason gets fed, she's a problem. But
like what lane is she?
She's support usually. Okay. I've seen people take her mid, but she is a lot better as support. She's got this like really nasty ability though where she can like sprout all these plants and the plants can root you.
Wait, I think I've definitely played against her before, like at least once, and it was so annoying.
She's very obnoxious early game, but if you can handle her plants early on, like you can step on her plants to like the seedlings so that they can't sprout, and you can take down her plants. So as long as you can handle them, she's really not that much of a problem. It's just that people who don't know how to play against her struggle
have
a lot.
A rough time.
Yeah. But she's overall pretty balanced support, so it's hard. It's kind of the same reason that people probably don't meme on Braum too much. Because they're just balanced characters. It's hard to meme on them when there's nothing to like complain about.
Mad at.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. Because I was trying to find all these pictures, like these meme pictures, and like it just couldn't. Like I looked up a sexy Venus flytrap, but then I realized she's a pitcher plant. So
oh yeah, she is, isn't she?
Yeah. I couldn't find a sexy Venus flytrap, by the way, in case anybody was wondering.
Okay. There's no
does
Rule
not
43
exist.
for Venus flytraps. Damn.
It'll have to be a ChatGPT. All right, last but not least, the Void.
Another one that's not on the map.
Non-existent. Yes, but there is a League Wikipedia page, like the one that was for Excel, about it, that will kind of have some visuals, if anybody's curious. So the Void, it's a manifestation of the unknowable nothingness that lies beyond.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no, so it's a force of insatiable hunger, waiting from eons until its masters, the mysterious Watchers, mark its final time of undoing. So it's pretty much just like sitting idle, waiting for the Watchers to be like, yeah, it's time to do the undoing.
Oh, dude, so this is like Lissandra's gonna bring back the Watchers, and then this is gonna be what the Watchers bring on to Runeterra, because that's terrifying.
I think so. Like, they would come from the depths of the Howling Abyss, no?
Well, yeah, it says explore related stories, and the Eye in the Abyss is one of them. So I think
that's so weird.
Cool.
Dude, we've cracked League lore. This is crazy.
Live time right here, right now.
So on the outskirts of Icthalia,
yeah,
lies the Rupture. So that's like the Rupture is there. And it's the evidence of Void itself bursting forth from the deep beneath the ground. So it's in an age of like, it's lost to history, but some cocky adventurers kind of come and they think about going in there, but they don't really dare to venture into the deep spaces between, because like there's like all these dark little spaces that like lead to the Void, low-key.
Damn.
Yeah. So like, yeah, if you're a mortal and you're touched by the power, it's like suffering an agonizing glimpse of eternal unreality.
Oh my god.
And it's enough to shatter the strongest of minds. So like, it doesn't matter how strong you are going in there, like you're leaving with a shattered mind.
Nah, bro, take my boy Panth in there, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. He's built different.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Literally.
Yeah,
what do you think
I don't know.
Would see?
Like, but he's a Darken, no?
Mort's not a Darken, but he has been killed and resurrected so many times that he's like, dude, he's like crazy. Like, he's just like the definition of crazy.
Okay, the one thing is like, wait. So if you're like brought in there, whether it's by force or by choice, no matter what, nobody leaves the same as they came in. Like, you're always changed.
Right.
So I don't know like how he would face in there.
Oh, that's so... Imagine like a Void corrupted Mord. That would be crazy. Like, he's already got the Black Mist. So like, what do you think the combination of like the Black Mist and the Void would be? That insane. Unfathomable.
That'd be so sick.
That would be crazy. We need a champ. Riot? Give me a Black Mist Void champ right now. Thank you.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, actually, so, okay. So the Denizens of the Void, itself are constructed of, are like construct creatures, and they only often have like limited sentience. And they're tasked with a singular purpose, and that's to usher total oblivion across Runeterra.
Holy so they, shit, like, man.
They're not fully sentient. Okay, wait, those are the babies, okay? So, okay, so let's see here. So when they're babies, when they're born in Runeterra, they're generally really pale, fibrous, and flexible. And as they age, yeah, as they grow older, like sections of their body harden and get darker. And their shell becomes stronger, like, so that they can like fend off different weapons and stuff like that. So they're born like like weak little pale things.
Oh,
disgusting.
interesting, but disgusting.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so one of few ways to combat a void is to starve it. So they have that insatiable hunger, but if you starve their hunger, they go like dormant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so with no organic or material substance nearby, the void's material and growth will slow until it eventually falls into that dormant state.
Oh.
So a good advantage. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I had a glass of wine. Like I don't know if you can tell, but okay. A good example of that is in the abyssal darkness, deep underground. It's believed that the first great void creatures to walk the surface of Runeterra now lie dormant and unseen. So
Wow.
they once were roaming, like hungry and they had that hunger in them that was the fighting for the purpose, but now they kind of burrowed in and they're just dormant.
Do you think maybe that initial time was during the time that the Watchers, like the Frozen Watchers, were out?
Oh,
That
I
they're lying
100%
dormant?
think so. Yeah.
Like they're
I think
lying
that they used to
dormant
be
now.
fighters.
Yeah, I think the reason they're lying dormant now might be because the Frozen Watchers are under the ice of the Howling Abyss.
Yeah, probably. I feel like Lysandra almost had a chance to use them in the overthrow of the Freljord to use them for her purpose, but because it went south and they lied dormant, that then everything in the void lied dormant as well.
Yeah.
Like same time and everything.
Yeah, it would make sense on why there's still kind of like traces of it too, so why we have things like Kassadin and Kaisa and all that. Interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know, because like Kassadin, like with his, like I was looking a lot into this where it's like, okay, a lot of the characters, right, have a dark like shell. So thinking if they're newborn void creatures, they would have a lighter shell. And all of the characters that we see currently in like League of Legends have a darker shell. But Kassadin has like such a dark purple kind of coat, right?
Yeah. His is like built up like armor too.
Exactly, and that's the point of the of building up of aging is to get a stronger shell.
Right.
So his is like super dark.
Yeah. Interesting. Isn't that because me and Chalky were talking about this earlier too, the whole thing with the how the void names work. And Cap, I don't know if you know, but I'm pretty sure that the reason that Kaisa has a like apostrophed name but Kassadin doesn't is because Kaisa was born of void power versus Kassadin was corrupted by it. No?
I'm not sure the backgrounds on them, especially since Kassadin has been around since like kind of the beginning of League. I mean, he's already had a rework and complete remaster of his skin in the first place, and Kaisa's newer. So I'm not entirely sure where they fit into each other's lore.
Yeah,
because like who's Kaisa's mother? You know?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think
so it's like, where did she come from?
It's interesting to me what you mentioned though, because of the void creatures. There's only 3 of them like that have pale like colors, right? Because Vel'Koz, Kaisa, Kog'Maw.
Well, and
Kog'Maw's like poison type thing. I never really thought of him as void. He's not purple, which is odd.
Exactly. Like he doesn't really fit in with the void kind of purple theme because like they start as kind of that pale color and then they get more and more purple as they progress in their journey of being a void monster, as it would say. So like no two horrors of the void are the exact same. So there's no duplicates. So even if somebody has a child in the void, they're not gonna look the same. They're like none of the void horrors are the same.
Interesting. Okay.
The one thing that's throughout is that insatiable hunger that drives them.
Damn.
Like that it just drives them relentlessly onward to their goal.
The Void has to be the most diverse character pool to me. Like,
I'd agree.
From Cho'Gath to Kaisa to Kha'Zix to Vel'Koz to Bel'Veth, like, that's all different, bro.
They're all horrible. They're all like horrors in their own way,
Yeah,
right?
literally.
They're all a bunch of bugs to me, except for Kaisa, and she's still kind of a bug.
Yeah, a little
I mean,
bit.
Kaisa's kind of a baddie though.
She do kind of be a baddie though.
That is true.
Like, I felt bad memeing on her because I was like, I kind of want to just put like a really baddie picture of Kaisa in here. Yes. So some of the legends suggest that when they first emerged into Runeterra air, the Voidborn based on logic got darker and older. Yes. So that was once they were exposed to the Runeterra air.
Okay.
So in the void they would have stayed
babies.
Would have stayed baby. Okay. So if you're immortal and you enter the void, you won't survive.
What?
Why? It's like you most likely won't survive, or you will be forever changed.
Okay.
So like you'll get that kind of corruption. I feel like whenever you enter the void, they're not immune to the corruption.
Well, and I'm sure it's not the same as like Targon. You're forever changed because you're worthy. This is probably just like, no, we're here to fuck shit up. So like, you're no exception to that. Like,
no, you get corrupt.
Yeah.
So the champions of the void are the ones with the apostrophes in their name, pretty much. So we got Kaisa, we got Vel'Koz, we have Bel'Veth.
Oh.
We have Malhazar, we have Rek'Sai, we have Cho'Gath, we got, let's see, what is that? Kog'Maw. And we have
Rek'Sai.
What is that one? No, I already said Rek'Sai. Kha'Zix. There we go. Kha'Zix.
Rek'Sai is the most beautiful woman in all of League. Fun fact.
Honestly, exactly. That's why she's got the flower in her hair. She's a queen. She's a queen. Yes. Like, you can't be on a queen.
For sure. Yeah.
She burrows those tunnels. She goes crazy.
For any possible audio listeners, I just want you to know that Bel'Veth is depicted as basically a triangle with a face and two interestingly
shoulder pads.
Yeah, interestingly long shoulder pads.
Yes. So those are the characters of the Void, which all except for Casten and Malzahar have apostrophes. So maybe in our sessions of looking into each character's lore themselves, we will find out why the heck they do not have apostrophes and why some do.
Maybe we can get to the bottom of this apostrophe business and how it's assigned.
Because it is very recognizable for Void characters to have an apostrophe. So it is weird that Casten and Malhazar are left out of this apostrophe phenomenon.
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept of like, only a few of them have no apostrophe, but there's really no indication. They're also both like very humanoid, but so is Kaisa, and she has the apostrophe.
Right? So was she born with a mortal or something like that?
Yeah, interesting.
Honestly, League of Legends, hire us.
We're cracking the code.
We'll crack your codes. We'll let you know if the code is crackable. We'll be your lore testing.
Exactly.
So after all of this, like, what do you guys have like maybe a favorite region now, or like one that you like maybe like the lore the most from?
Honestly, the Ixtal one surprised me.
Yeah, I'm really shocked by Ixtal, and now I'm a little more like appreciative of Ixtal now, just because.
Yeah, me too, and the champ's in it.
I was as well. I was shocked because I was like this. I feel like this is a new region to appear in League because like there's not a whole lot surrounding it. But then looking deeper into its history, I was like, wait, this is actually kind of sick.
Yeah, no kidding. I just also feel like for them to Riot has done one thing that I think is incredible, which is they have made their lore so descriptive yet so vague that they were able to fit in Ixtal and be like, sillies, it's had lore this whole time. What do you mean?
Been there.
It's been
Joke's on
you.
Like the fact that they can do that, and like when I was doing research for this, some of the ways that they presented lore, like they had people talking about the lore of Mount Targon. And when they were talking about it, it was as though they were teaching history. Like, it's so thorough. It's incredible to me.
Yeah, I would say, my favorites so far from the episode have been, let's see, Bilgewater. I think is just so cool.
Yeah.
like a band of pirates. That's pretty sick. I would say Bilgewater, Freljord.
Freljord was sick.
Yeah.
Especially tied with Void.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say, yeah. And then I would also say the combination of like, I think that they're just really cool regions, but Piltover and Zaun, like that is such a cool city. Like,
yo, that's why Arcane went so hard, dude.
Arcane went so hard. It's so good.
Yeah.
And Targon, I feel like Targon is also really cool.
Yeah.
We'll just list them all because they're all really
honestly
cool.
That's crazy.
Everything
it's
really
crazy.
cool.
In of mine, I think I definitely fell a little in love with Ionia when I was researching it, I will say. But Targon and Mount Targon, and like the relation between just the idea that this mountain is forever changing because it's constantly being pulled towards the gods is like the craziest concept that I just think is so neat.
It is. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So I love that one. And then I'm a huge Bilgewater fan. I will always be a huge Bilgewater fan.
I will. Bilgewater till I die.
Yeah. I also just love the idea of like Bandle City being like a mushroom trip. That's just
exactly.
Really, that's hitting the spot for me right now.
It's literally just like a trip. It's like, GG's, wait, you come out of your trip like a couple years later? Well, kind of reality, honestly. Like, if you really think about it.
Dude, that's crazy. It's been 6 years. It felt like 20 minutes, dude.
Exactly.
Just completely jaded.
Yeah.
Literally.
Okay. Well, I think that just about wraps it up as far as the lore for all of our lovely regions of Runeterra. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Really quick appreciation corner. IR Kilo, thanks for the follow. And then also thank you guys for tuning in and for bearing with us. I know today was a long one.
It really was. I hope you guys enjoyed it though, and if you guys missed today's live, no worries about it. You guys can tune in on Spotify and YouTube if you want to catch up.
Absolutely. And then as always, remember, Coveys, keep it
real, but keep it
curious.
Goodbye.
Bye guys, have a good one.